I saw a B-Wing on the road a couple years ago.
Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars toys began. And Kenner continues the excitement.
The Empire Strikes Back collection.
El regreso del Jedi.
Welcome to the Star Wars Collectors Archive Podcast. It's Kivecast.
For Death Star Space Station, the Snap Open Space Hatch.
Sometimes known as the Vintage Pod.
Wow, what a weird place.
A monthly audio magazine dedicated to vintage Star Wars toys and memorabilia. Hosted by Sky Payne, Hud,
Chewbacca's good too.
and Stephen B. Denton.
B-Wing fighters and B-Wing pilot action. B-Wing pilot action. B-Wing pilot action. B-Wing pilot action.
Market data mined by Brisbane Mike,
Luke Skywalker handles his saber well.
and Fantastic Pete.
Boba Fett has a see-through helmet.
Tech support by The Road.
Prince Slade.
FX7. X-Wing Ace. Randall Calrissian. Super. Microscope. R5D4. Greedo the Emperor.
Empress SWCA each sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars Return of the Jedi.
Come and get Thurned on this month's ironically long Kivecast, which features Martin Thurn sitting in talking about the first ever Star Wars Collectors magazine. He also delves into several little known areas of collecting, like license plates, store cards, and weird old magazines. Sky interviews Matthias and gets to the bottom of the Toy Tony scandal. All of this, plus the meaning of Minch and Princess Leia having Congress with an alien and a mummy on the Kivecast Vintage Pod. Wampa Wampa, Space Freaks.
Welcome to Kivecast.
You got all me. Got completely.
Oh, something
grounded.
happened?
Yeah, I got completely. Wampa Wampa was like.
Alright, let's try it.
Wampa Wampa, Space Freaks.
Welcome to Kivecast number 46.
Actually, you know what? See, this is going to be 47.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. We got the special edition is is the previous one, right?
Yeah. Hey, don't let me forget to have us record the intro to that after we're done recording this one. I'm telling you, we're like traveling around in time. Yeah, it's all very confusing. And actually, Steve, I realized something about this episode.
What's that?
It is the season premiere of season 5.
Oh, you're right. That's right.
Because we judge our seasons by card backs.
That's true.
And it is also, Steve, the season finale. Because the 32 back was only Yoda. So
Season 5 is a brief one cut by strike. You know?
yeah, exactly. Oh man. Oh hey, did you get that job?
I did. I just got started, so hey.
It was funny
It's all
because
good.
I don't talk to you enough outside of I called it work. Outside of the podcast. So I didn't know. So right as I asked you, I'm like, oh wait a minute, this could be a little bit indelicate.
No, I figured I figured you'd ask now, so now was a good time. Yeah, no, it's going good so far. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm just in I'm grading exams, grading final papers. My mom's in town because tomorrow I'm getting my wisdom tooth taken out.
Oh man, so you have just one that's still sticking in there?
Well, it turns out, as you may know, Steve, I have kind of a big mouth, and so like they didn't know if it would need to be taken out, and they were supposed to take out. The top ones are gone. They're just totally they're like in my sinuses, up through my brain, out the top of my skull. Like those, if those came out, it'd be like a circuit breaker. My whole body would just disappear. But the bottom ones need to be taken out, so they're going to take them out both at the same time. But the dentist gave up last time. He just I got one. Well, I had to break it off in two. But anyways, I'm done. Come back later. He ran away.
Man, that does not sound good.
Yeah. So you wanted to record tomorrow, but this is as I may have mentioned on the show, I'm somewhat of a teetotaler. I've never taken any drug of any kind at any point in my life, with the exception of alcohol and tobacco. So when I get on those things, I am not the same Sky that you know and tolerate.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, I meant to tell you this right away when I told you I got the job. One of the first things I was getting trained with was cataloging tape heads.
Really?
Yeah. Like it just happened to be one of the titles that came into the archive. Like, all right, we're gonna have you train with tape heads. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
And you still hadn't seen it?
No, I still haven't seen it. So I watched the first little bit today because I was just transcribing the credits and stuff, and oh my god, the first few minutes, I'm like, oh, I need to watch the rest of this immediately.
Yeah, it's great. Once again, Ron Salvatore, that's one of his favorite movies, or I don't know, there's so many, but he was like, how come? He was upset he wasn't on the episode where we talked about tape heads.
Yeah.
And now one episode after he was on, we talk about tape heads.
We're talking about tape heads again. Sorry, Ron. It's not intentional.
But actually, speaking of being off topic, we're going to be joined by Martin Thurn.
Yes.
And he's the Yoda expert, and as well as our best critic. So he's always sort of chiming in with his opinions of what could be better. And I really like that about him. I wish I had the courage to be...
he keeps us in check.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to have him on and maybe like ask him, what would you change and what would you do this? And so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But let's see. The movie thought is really simple for me this month, Steve.
Okay.
That is just, talking about Yoda, it's more about the experience of watching the movie. And I remember, so Empire Strikes Back, probably the 20th or 23rd time when I saw the movie. I was probably 17 or 18 or whatever. And I just looked at him like, wait, Yoda's really funny. For some reason, the whole, mine, I will help you not, and, the whacking R2, I just never processed that as comedy. And... just now when I watch it, it's my favorite scenes, and it's so great, and it's the whole spirit of the whole thing.
Oh my god, yeah, no, that's probably my favorite Yoda scene in the whole thing. It's just him being goofy
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's just maybe does anyone else ever have that experience? Email us kivecast@gmail.com because sometimes there's just things you don't realize. And I remember just thinking, oh wait, this is funny, and understanding it as comedy. Also, there's something kind of, I don't know, kind of like Marx Brothers-y or something about the way that he's just such a wiseacre, just always kind of physical with that,
Yeah. No, when he hits R2's little compartment closed, it just cracks me up every time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I guess just when you're a kid and you watch movies, there's so many things you don't see. There can be references to sex or drugs, and you just don't see it. If you don't understand it, it's actually really cool. When you're a kid, if you don't understand something, you just don't see it. It's just...
Right, and it's completely off the radar.
Yeah, you worry about what's appropriate or not, but, really, kids just don't see it. So...
Yeah.
Oh man! So what was your figure thought, Steve?
Okay, so this kind of ties in. I mean, to me, the figure for the vintage Yoda, the expression on that little thing's face is essentially that scene to me. It's that. It just I don't know. It's same with Chewbacca to me. They have that kind of half smirk, half grin, but only captured in those vintage toys. If you tried to do that today. With a really high-tech sculpt, it just wouldn't work. I don't know. It's just it's probably my favorite head sculpt of the vintage line. I think thinking about it.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking, Steve. It's actually kind of and Chewbacca's the same way. It's kind of like the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it is a smile.
But it's not quite,
But it's also
completely...
not a smile. It's not like when kids do drawings and they just have the big, stupid, you or whatever. That's not the way people smile.
Right.
But it is a smile, and it's not. I think the same thing with Chewie's laugh, roar, whatever it is. It's
whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the perfect intermediate between emotions, and you can't do that. Nowadays it'd be oh cool dude, you get the Black Series, it comes one where Yoda where he's growling because he's fighting Darth Sidious, and there's one where he's frowning because he's didn't want Luke to go face Vader, and there's one where he's smiling because he's hitting R2-D2 with a gimmer stick, and it also comes with two gimmer sticks. It comes with a blue gimmer stick and a brown gimmer stick, and anyways it's just one sculpt.
Are you done with the modern lines, guy? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, it's awesome. Especially when you have kids. Are you kidding me? I love it. But
oh Oh man, that was good though. Man.
Yeah. if you like Sky Payne, nerdy modern collector as a character, please email us skivecast@gmail.com. Because I could have kept going. I just got the sense.
I know. I could sense there was a deeper well there that I'm sure will be explored later.
With Martin waiting, like
Yeah.
the number one complaint is our shows are too long, and he's just sitting there waiting for us to call him for like 20 minutes. It's terrible.
Well, we'll get him in here real quick.
Yeah, we'll get him in real quickly. Then in that case, we'll have to get to the Sky Coos then.
Yes, Sky Cruise.
Okay. Would you like the movie character or the figure?
Let's go for the character first.
Okay. So on spiritual, Steve.
Okay, I had a feeling it might be.
Rubber puppet ear. Not this crude matter. Frank Oz plays a god.
Awesome.
If I can analyze my own poem, Steve, you see the richness of that is Frank Oz playing a god, meaning that he's playing Yoda, who is a god, or is he playing a god because he's animating this matter into flesh?
This cultural icon.
Yeah, like, is he God or is he playing a god? You know, is Yoda God or is Frank Oz the god, you know?
Deep.
Yeah. There's actually this biblical scholar who wrote this thing saying that you can't prove God exists in the same way that Sherlock Holmes couldn't prove that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle exists. And I thought about that for a long time. I tried to explain that to my kids. I was like, you know, you couldn't prove that George Lucas exists to Yoda. Like, you just couldn't do that.
Right.
Anyways. Here's the Sky Coup for the figure.
All right.
This one's more poetic, not as spiritual. The dish towel shirt. Crooked cane smiles in mud. Orange snake scarf.
Well done, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, it's... I see. I'm worried when you start getting to, like, Kia Mall. What's your Kia Mall Sky Coup gonna be?
I'll get there.
You will. I know. I'm actually looking forward to those almost more. And, like, the Yoda, like, this is perfect. But, man, to see what you can pull for Thal Jobin or something, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
We'll get there. Now, Steve, for the flip the script.
Yeah.
It's getting really, really hot here.
Flip the script.
You sent me something saying many people have already heard about Minch, but I have some other tidbits. I don't know what Minch is. I assume it was British slang for a woman's private parts. So we're going to actually get to some Minches later in the show, the interview with Matthias. He's not a Minch. The people who could be scamming people or could be allegedly Minches. But what are you talking about, a Minch?
Okay. So I guess it'll be a two-part flip the script then, because Minch was
Poor Martin,
an original.
still waiting on the phone for us.
I know. Hey, Martin, I'm hoping this is good. Anyway, and I'm sure Martin knows about Minch. Minch was one of the original, or I guess the original name for Yoda's character in early versions of the story. And in some cases it just says Minch, in others it's like his last name almost, Yoda Minch, or Minch Yoda, something like that.
Huh.
Anyway, so that's a whole other can of worms, but going back to the scripts anyway, there's a great note where Lawrence Kasdan is trying to figure out how to make Yoda talk, and he's kind of inconsistent in the two versions he has. And then on one of his typed script pages, he wrote himself a note saying, "Figure out a speech pattern for Yoda." And I'm just like, man, that's history right there. He's like, for a while he's kind of talking normal, and then and after you start to see his handwritten stuff after that, and you got the iconic lines right there. But yeah, he writes himself, figured out a speech pattern for Yoda. And when I found that, I'm like, oh man, that's insane.
Wow.
But there it is.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And the Minch thing.
Yeah.
So
do
you think that's just like a play on Mensch?
I mean, that's kind of what my take on it was.
Is it supposed to be like a Mensch and a Grinch? Huh.
Yeah. So I mean that's that's why I came up with that title, Minch the Grinch. I'm like, all right, it's Christmas time. Well, because Minch is involved, and yeah.
Right, but then also Hanukkah just passed, and Mensch is a great Jewish term for like someone who's a stand-up guy.
Right,
It's
right.
a
Man,
whole different way of thinking about Yoda. If you think of him as kind of like a wise old Jewish elder, like dispensing wisdom. I like that, Yoda Minch. That's cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Speaking of Minch, I just watched The Apartment for the second time last night, and there's that great line where Jack Lemmon is being told what a mensch is. He's like, it's a human being. Have you ever seen that?
Steve, have I ever seen it?
Yeah.
I actually have a Xerox of a still from that movie hanging up on the wall of the room that I sleep in.
Ah, okay. Then we're on good terms then.
The elevator scene, where they're staring.
Yeah.
Yep. Poor Ron, man. He's on the wrong episodes every time.
I know.
He gets on, I just talk about Hoffa. All right. Well, I can't wait to talk to Martin. So so let's give him a call and start the show polyvocally.
All right.
Take a seat at the Space Chess Roundtable with the Kivecast. This month's visitor is Martin Thurn, Yoda collector, an all-around hobby enthusiast, and editor. All right, Steve, we are here with Martin Thurn. How's it going, Martin?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Just to clear things up, a while ago when I looked up your name, I found that that's also the name of a famous 70s prog krautrocker from Germany for the band called Analogy. Are you of any relation to Martin Thurn of Analogy?
Not that I know of.
Have you heard of Analogy?
I did not know the name of his band, but I knew there was some kind of hard rock guitarist with the same name. I thought he was from Austria, but whatever.
It could be Austria. It's all just called krautrock, which is, I guess, somehow not racist because of they have somewhat of a spotty past. Anyway, so I think, Martin, for the rest of the time that I ever mention you, I'll probably play a little bit of Analogy as a music bed for you.
Sweet.
They seem to know their way. They had no ear, they had no eyes. That for to kill, they had two hands. They told believers we speak lies.
But yeah, we're really happy to have you on. We were talking a little bit about how you're one of our most dedicated listeners and feedbackers, which I really appreciate, Martin. Because people don't always give feedback, and you always do. And could you just remind me, what is the rule with lays versus lies? Because you commented on that last month, and I actually don't entirely know it because I only teach French grammar. So I should have said the rebel soldier lay?
Well, lay is the past tense of lie.
Okay.
But lay is also the transitive verb for, putting something down.
Okay.
Whereas lie is the intransitive where you lie yourself down, so to speak.
Oh, see, that really helps.
That's how I remember it.
All right, good. Steve, do you know what a transitive verb is?
It's been a while since I've heard that.
Do they have those in French?
Oh, yeah. So, Steve, the idea is that transitive verb can have a direct object. So, I throw the ball, right? So, the ball is the direct object. So, throw is transitive because you can actually transit the action to something. Whereas, like, I was born, like, you can't have, like, a direct object with that. So
got it.
I get it. So lie is intransitive. Well, thank you, Martin. It was great having you on the show.
Thanks, and that's great. Now you can keep it under 2 hours. See you later.
Yeah, that's so. What is it, Martin? Why do you think the show goes too long? What is it? Is it that you just do you listen to it intently, or how do you listen to the show?
Well, I guess it's probably my personal problem, but I cannot listen to the show and do something else at the same time. I just can't concentrate. So it sort of takes too much of my time
All right.
to actually listen to it. But I don't know.
I think that makes sense, Steve. That seems to be it. Is that some people can multitask, but I guess Martin's being more respectful because he's just giving it the time and the energy,
go.
to just listen to it. Oh, that's a good reason, because whenever I listen to podcasts, I'm doing just everything. I'm just always running around. So if it was up to me, every podcast would be however many hours I am awake long. But so Before we kind of get into the news, Martin, so why did we invite you on here? Why are you on this month's episode?
Well, I guess I'm one of the Yoda guys. Partly my favorite character, and my car is all decorated with Yoda.
Yes. So tell me that your icon here is a license plate. And
Yes.
And it reads Toy Yoda.
Yes.
And what kind of car is it?
It's a Toyota Camry.
Now, does this go back to your childhood with Toyota?
Well, yeah. I mean, he was always my favorite character ever since the 1980. But
when you were a kid, you didn't think that a Toyota car was actually a Toy Yoda?
no.
Okay, because I did. So when I saw your license plate, I just thought that Toyotas were the coolest cars because it was like, oh my god, it's a Toyota. It's all of I thought that there was a real link. Oh man. Well, actually, one funny thing about this month is I've actually recorded the news today, guys.
See, I was wondering if you'd already done that.
Yeah, I called Matthias and I talked to him. I hate to say it, Martin, but for about 45 minutes, all about the Toy Tony scandal.
Right.
So I think what I'll just do is I'll just kind of insert that here.
Watch out!
It's Kenner's News. It's Kenner's News.
Okay. So I am here. Well, actually, if you hear that sound, it can only mean one thing. How's it going, Matthias?
It's going great. Listening to ABBA and drinking wine. Having a great time in Sweden.
I wasn't going to put ABBA in the final mix, but if you insist, Matthias. So you are our go-to expert on what can only be called potentially the biggest fiasco and scam in the history of Star Wars vintage collecting. You think that's fair to say, Matthias?
It could be, if it turns out to be true, which I personally believe, it definitely is. Huge amounts of stuff and huge amounts of money. And as far as expert, I don't know. No one can be expert in this mess. There are so many guys doing hard work, and I don't think anyone knows the whole story yet. It's too much to read up on and make conclusions about.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I got a text from Chris Jorgulia saying, "Hey man, you have to cover." First of all, he said, "You snooze, you lose."
Well, Ash, you snooze, you lose, and you're way behind right from the start. I've got a Pokemon, and you don't.
That's how he starts everything. And then he said, "Hey man, you got to cover this Toy 20 thing. Yeah, I don't know if you know about it." I was like, "Chris, I posted like 3 times on that thread." He's like, "Oh, I'm only up to page 67." So yeah, there's been seems like thousands of posts written about it. So what I'm hoping, Matthias, is for you to give us the dumbest down possible version of what's happened. So,
I'm going to try. The best I can.
How about we'll make it so dumb that I'll start talking, and I'll just say what I know, and then I'll ask you questions to help me clarify. How does that sound?
It sounds great.
Okay, so then for the past about 15 years, right, there's been a website, toytony.com. We do not support them at this point. And on that site, there has been, for the entire time that it's been on there, many, seemingly endless amount of carded figures from England and Germany.
That's correct. And other stuff too. It's a toy dealer site. I bought from him like 10 years ago. I honestly didn't know he was selling anymore. I was quite surprised by that.
Right.
So, but that's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And so most of what he sold was ridiculously high quality, and most of them are what's called Palitoy 45D backs. Right. So no logo, no offer, but just an offerless Empire Palitoy carded figure, a German 45 back, which is the only carded German I've ever seen, and then a lot of Return of the Jedi 65 C and D back? No, just I think 65 D backs.
That's
right?
probably. I don't know about the numbers and Peltoy cards, but yeah, you're probably right.
Well, somewhere out there, I don't know. David Tree is going like, no, it's a 65
You losers.
Right? It's a 65 H. That's an English pronunciation joke. And I've always thought it was weird that there were so many of these things out there, but all the respected collectors I know said, yeah, it's totally legit and it's totally fine.
Yeah.
And then in the last month, this is where things start to get confusing. So the recently dethroned king of Star Wars collecting, so Steve Sansweet is now the biggest collector of Star Wars in the world. And before that, it was I won't say shady, but I will say shadowy figure in England named Jason Joyner, who had the record even though he didn't have the largest collection. Now, I've seen a lot of threads of people trying to identify why is he considered to be shady. I've never heard anyone say anything. I have asked people directly. They don't answer me. It's honestly weird, Matthias. I mean, I imagine even if I asked you, you wouldn't tell me. And so I don't know what everyone else who has a.
I don't know. All I can tell you, he's doing a great interpretation of Britney Spears. I met him a few times. He's quite a fun guy. Actually.
Okay. So we'll just leave it at that because anything I've ever heard about him negative has been hearsay, and hopefully someone will say, oh, it's because of this and that or that and this. But everyone's been very mum about that. But whatever it is...
But you have to remember, even like big names in the hobby has said they've been like shady things, and people I really trust. I don't have seen any proofs like you,
right.
So it's very weird indeed. But some big names in the hobby has indeed said they are true.
Right.
So, but I don't know.
Right. So that's just sort of set the entire question of this current scandal, because he's the person who brought the potential scam to light. So it was seen as a unreliable or actively potentially malicious source. Okay, so for those who think that he is a scammer for reasons that have not been explained to me, so I don't claim they're true or not true, basically have just dismissed this whole thing outright because of the source it came from. So, what did he claim, Matthias?
All of a sudden, short backstory. There was a thread on the UK Star Wars forum discussing the Peltoy vinyl cape Java.
Okay.
That thread was like since this spring, and people was questioning it because it was the first one to appear, and it was Jason Joyner's that he showed off on the Empire Days. And people wonder if it was real or not. And all of a sudden, 2 more pops up, or 1 more, I don't remember. Well, that was the spring. There was like a 6-page thread about is it legit or not. And all of a sudden, like 2 weeks ago, Jason Joyner joins the forums and finds this old thread. Probably that's why he joins. So, and he says like, hey, it's me, I own the Peltoy Java, and it's completely legit. That's where it all started.
Okay. So this figure who people haven't seen for years shows up, and there's rumors swirling around, or not even rumors, but whispers of rumors swirling around, so it causes a big stir.
Yeah, because it was Jason that owns it. People starting to question it, like they do with his props and so on.
Okay, so that's one of the questions, right? Is he was a prop collector, and apparently...
He was one of the earliest collectors, period. It was like he started to collecting like in the early 80s. Props, toys, everything.
Right. And so he apparently at some point is alleged to have sold props that were inauthentic as authentic.
Yeah, but I don't know that. That's hearsay as well.
That's what people say.
I'm not the person to ask about that. All the rumors, but there's the gold hat Bespin guard sold into UK. That's come from Joyner. The Greyland, very known snowtrooper. Some prototype R2, etc.
Okay.
they all comes from Jason, and he still claims they're real. At least the gray-limbed snowtroopers.
Right.
I think most collectors have another opinion about that, but I don't know.
Okay.
Well, and so he joins the thread and say, "Hey, it's the Java is completely real. It's mine. I've had it. I don't remember for how long." And he started posting weird stories about like the good old days, the Greyland snowtroopers, etc.
Okay.
And all of a sudden he says like, yeah, and all. Like, you know, there was, at one point, there was like 25,000 unused Peltoy card bags that was for sale in the late 80s, early 90s. And people was quite shocked about that. Was that a rumor? Was it true? He claims that he was offered to buy it from a guy named Arthur.
Right, Arthur. So this is a key figure in this whole story.
Absolutely.
It's basically a triangle of Arthur, Tony, and let's call him Jason, just in honor of Matthias. So there's Jason, Arthur, and Tony. So that's the triangle here. So Arthur offers the card backs to
Jason,
okay.
who says who makes him an offer, and it's not good enough supposedly, and supposedly Tony buys them. For 10,000 quids.
Okay.
And that was like common knowledge back then, according to Jason.
Okay, so 10,000 quid, that's like probably $18,000. That's probably like 200,000 krona.
That's like $1 trillion kronos. And in that lot, there was like Peltoy, there were German cards, etc. And there was like cards and bubbles, so original bubbles.
Okay, so original Palatoy bubbles. And so does anyone have any idea how Arthur got a hold of these?
I honestly don't remember that, so no, I can't answer that. We have to check that out, and you may have to make a second recording about that.
Of course, this is going to go on for months.
Insert the facts here.
Right. Okay, so then apparently this is widely known, although and no one has confirmed this except for Jason. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a few. The funny thing is, like, when Billy Boy, another famous UK guy, was around, he was a truly expert in Peltoy and Trilogo stuff before he turned to the dark side.
Right.
When we discussed this very much, I was very looking into the unused cardback that were around, and Bill said, like, he got offered, and he knew there was like boxes of unused cardbacks from some guy that tried to sell them.
Huh.
So like, and that was 10 years ago. I still have the message from Bill on a Rebelscom, and I was like, I wonder what happened with those. And then when like Bill turned evil, and I was like, oh, he's probably lying.
Right.
And no, I don't know. So yeah.
Okay, so that is kind of a secondary source confirming that. At some point, when do you think Tony started selling carded Palatoy figures?
Very early in the early 90s.
Okay.
If we should believe the rumors, or not the rumors, that the fact, a lot of people were buying stuff from Tony and from Jason in the 90s. Tons of stuff.
Huh, so Jason was selling the same kind of items?
Well, this is a weird thing. One guy on the forums, this is only making things more difficult to understand, but one guy says that he overheard Jason saying that he sold some carded Fets that were recarded at the convention, at the toy show back in the 90s. Hearsay again, but there's a guy on the forums that's saying it. So I don't know.
Right. Okay.
That's a side story. So let's see if we come back to that one or not.
Okay. So then what happened? So he just happened to throw this out in this thread, and then that just unleashed just the storm.
Yeah, it did. At first, it was like, okay, is another one of Jason's stories. But long story short, people were starting to examine their stuff. There's too many pages so really long story short, people were starting to look into their own stuff, since Jason said that Tony bought all of that 25,000 cards and bubbles, and Tony has been questioned a lot of times during many years.
Okay.
How in the world can they have some mint figures, etc.?
Right. Well, factory overstock makes sense, right? I mean, if they had overstock, and he got a hold of it, that's how I always justified it. It was funny, we're going to get back to this, but I remember when this came out thinking, oh, that's good. I'm glad I only have like 2 figures that are, that could possibly have come from him. And I'm now sitting in front of all 6. So I'm like, oh man, this could be an expensive scandal here, just me alone. But okay, so then people start to analyze it. So I think that's what I'd like to do now, is kind of make this kind of a because you're the person who I think is best shown. How would we determine if this was true? Okay, so the claim is that Tony bought the card backs and the bubbles, and that he set up a separate eBay account. Now, this is confirmed that he has a separate eBay account?
Yeah, it
is.
Okay,
and what did he buy with that separate eBay account?
That separately, he was buying mint figures with that. U-graded figures, mint figures, etc.
Right.
And the funny thing is, he's been changing that name on that account 30 times.
Wow.
During the years. Why do you do that? I don't know.
Right, yeah. So that definitely seems very shady.
Yeah.
So then the claim is that he's just buying mint figures and carding them. And now, one of the things that's been on the forum is, what should we call these figures if it is true? And I'm just going to use the power of the podcast to push forth what I like. Matthias, I like calling them mod seals. Because they're not reseals, because they were never sealed in the first place. So they'd be modern seals. So why not call them mod seals? What do you think? Do you think that's a lame name? What do you like to call them, Matthias?
I don't know. Fake is the only word that pops up all the time. I understand mod. I like a word, actually, and many people don't think they're definitely not fakes all the way. But I had an example. If you found like a Picasso sketch and you had his old paint tubes and his brush, and you just painted the painting, you couldn't call it a Picasso.
Right, that's true.
It would be very difficult to put a name on that painting.
Right.
But like mod seal, sounds good.
Okay, so then that's the claim, and there's a couple things I want to go through with you, Matthias. One is explain your experiment with a C-3PO card, because what I have in front of me, Matthias, just so you know, and I'll kind of play along with this at the same time. So from the Museum, I have a Palatoy unused card back, which according to AFA could be a proof. It's actually called a proof, a round-cornered Palatoy proof, according to AFA.
And that Palatoy unused AFA card back is like most likely coming from Toy Tony from the start.
Right. Okay. So I have that. And that's a 65 back proof. I have a 65 back Chewbacca. I have a 65 back miscarded Chewbacca with the Darth Vader on it that I'm nearly positive is a reseal. I've been pretty certain of that since I've owned it. I have a miscard with a General Madine 65 back Chewbacca that I believe is an authentic figure. I have a Clipper 65 back, which I also think is an authentic figure, because I don't think, has anyone ever, done a bootleg of the color catalog on the back of a clipper. I've never heard of that. And then I have the German 45 back. So I have a pretty good swash of things that could be from Toy Tony, things that are definitely from Toy Tony, and so what should I be looking for? What did you do with the C-3PO in your study?
I compared the unused card back, and I was looking for weird things, and I found some. First, I found print error, a small, insignificant pink dot.
Okay.
That's dirt on the printing plate. That's not supposed to be there, but things happened, and small things can get through quality control. And then there was a registration error so the printing isn't that 100%.
I'm sorry, so can you explain that a little bit more? So, like, the colors aren't 100%, or what's not 100%?
It's like it's not aligning correctly.
Okay.
The graphic is not like on top of each other. Okay. It's like a kind of misprinted area.
Okay. Good. So I'm looking at this proof card back here, Chewbacca, and I don't see any pink dots because it's not a C-3PO, but I do see a little bit of misalignment. So I will keep track of that. I see a little bit of a misalignment at the top of where the bubble would go. Okay.
Yeah. And that doesn't need to mean a thing. But the thing is, I compared it to one of the card figures I have from Tony, with a bubble and a C-3PO, and that was like a perfect match. It was the exact same card back, and that means it's from the same print batch. Since there are errors and there's dirt, that shouldn't be on every card ever produced. So those two cards are definitely from the same batch.
Okay, so as a printer, if you see the same pink dot, you can assume that's from the same batch. So that means like they set the machine going, and they make however many thousands.
It was like a piece, like a grain on the printing cylinder, printing plate, that causes that small little dot. And if you notice that, you will remove it, and then you continue printing without the pink dot. So it don't need, like I said, it doesn't need to mean anything, but those small errors, they were existing on both the unused card back and the card figure. But all of the others I've seen, like card backs with price stickers, carded figures from child collections, we're talking like 10, 15 C-3POs. They lack these errors.
Right.
So my conclusion is that those cards that Tony has, the unused card back and the card figure, they're like siblings. They're like they were printed at the same time from the same stack of cards, and none of the others from collectors have those errors, and that's pretty odd.
Right. So basically, I guess if you're playing along at home and you have more than one of these, the idea is, and I've done this, and I don't know, Matthias. I don't have your eyes. So I haven't been able to do anything. I actually.
That's a common, like I've seen on the forums, people start looking for pink dots, etc.
Right.
And
it's not always going to be a pink dot.
No, and that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It only means anything if you have an unused card back,
right.
You have a carded figure, and then you have a carded figure from Tony.
Right.
And then you have childhood collection card backs, carded figures, etc. So you have to have three pieces to compare.
Right, and I'm pretty sure I have three, but I'm not certain because it's possible that they're all fakes or whatever. Like it's not this.
They're all from Tony. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Maydeen that I have, but it's got price sticker residue. It's got really beat up. It's got a yellowed bubble. So it would have to be a really advanced scam, and I don't think there's been much of a sign of him doing that in the past. And like I said, like it's a greener. The behind Chewbacca, it's greener than gray. And that's kind of like a difference sometimes you'll see. And so I don't know. That's I was hoping to.
So what you need to do? You need to find some childhood cardbacks from Chewbacca 65 back.
Okay.
Because the German one, the Clipper ones, etc., what you have is most likely from a different print batch.
Right.
So it's like comparing apples and oranges.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, so I'll put that out there. If anyone has a childhood 65 back card back of Chewbacca, please let me know, because I'll be able to compare all these. Now, this actually brought up a lot of questions I had, Matthias, and I haven't prepped you for them at all, so you maybe don't have any answers.
Sure.
So there's a few things, right? All of the unused card backs that I've ever seen are unpunched. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, there's a few out there that misses the punch, but that could have been just like disappeared. Like there's a log array, etc.
And 100% of the carded figures that I've seen do not have the punch. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah.
So that seems to me to indicate that maybe there isn't something going on, because if you were a scammer, wouldn't you want to sell one that was unpunched at a premium? Like, why just have some card backs and some carded figures?
Yeah, well, pretty good question.
So you don't have an answer?
I definitely don't have an answer.
So I'm just trying to think like the alleged criminal is.
Yeah.
And then I also think...
So you're saying like Tony's carded figures, they're all punched?
Right, they're all punched, and all of the... Why? If all of these... I mean, what I'm thinking is that maybe that everything that Tony... everything under here is a blanket of alleged. If Tony did it, then maybe he only did carded figures, and maybe not the card backs. Maybe the card backs come from, Jason or someone else who didn't do this scam. Like, I don't know, just...
That's definitely a possibility, and no matter who did it, we don't know that. But what we think we know is that someone made them, and if I were a scammer, maybe I would have punched the unused card backs to make them look like more production figures.
Right, but I guess that's what mystifies me about this AFA, because that's the other thing. The other debate is AFA has graded thousands of these, literally. So does this in some way debase AFA? That's we'll probably get into that at some point. But what's interesting about this unused card back is, first of all, they call it a proof. And I remember when I bought it, everyone said it's not a proof. And by everyone, I mean you, Matthias. But the other thing I haven't seen mentioned in any of the threads, maybe I just missed it, is that every single one of these 65 backs is noticeable because there is something that has been crossed out with a marker. So if you look at the back, above open to UK residents only, there's a big marker slash across the back.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the things that the UK guys that went to David Tree's show noticed as well.
Right. So obviously these are not proofs, because why would you go to the trouble of inking out something that, if you were just trying to establish if the printer worked, you wouldn't have to ink it out, right? Like, so this had to be an unused card back and not a proof of any kind, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, good. I never heard it. I never heard anyone put it in that way, that because it's inked out, it can't be a proof.
Well, no one has ever. They have never been proofs.
Okay.
So I think that's like, they're not proofs at all, and it was AFA that labeled them as proofs at one time, like 10 years ago, before they didn't know better.
Right.
So everyone from the UK, everyone else is like, they're unused cardbacks, and no one believes they are proofs.
Right. Okay. So then basically where we're stuck now is there's no real way to determine if this happened. It's just based on whether or not we think it is. Now, is there something about the seals that people can look at? I saw a lot of stuff on the threads about the seals.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing. I've only noticed this about the C3PO, which I'm positive they must come from the same stock. That means someone it's not likely that whatever. We don't need to go there again. But the seals the early ones that Jason also brought a lot of carded figures to the show. He met up with a lot of guys last weekend.
Right.
And he brought a box of carded figures that he claims was from Tony earliest days.
Right.
And you can clearly see they were early. They were ironed with an iron. They were glued. They were spray mounted. Different kind of tests.
Right.
If they truly were from Tony or they came from Jason, I don't know, or some other guy. We don't know that, but people have noticed iron marks on a lot of their carded figures that come from Tony.
Right, and a lot of strange sort of people sort of say there's a little circular pattern on the bubbles sometimes.
Yeah,
I noticed that on my Vader recard, what I think is a recard. You can kind of see the sort of half circle, and I guess it's positive that's where someone put their finger down to press the bubble in.
Exactly.
And that is definitely very noticeable. Is there something else too I read about the cards being flat or kind of indented at the seal?
Yeah, exactly. So that's another thing that shouldn't be there. The iron thing is that's just
that's outrageous. I've never seen that before on any other carded figure. I mean, to me, whatever Jason brought, I don't think those don't. I don't think those can be proven to be anything. I mean, they look really oh my God, did he really do this? But those just seem outrageously bad.
Rejection. But what it made people do is they were starting to look for similar things, and other people have found the same traces of stuff.
Okay.
Iron marks, etc., both on the card back and melted in the bubbles. So no matter if those from Jason's are from Tony or not, the same markings have been found on cards in the wild that comes from Tony.
Right. And then, so if it looks like the bubble is kind of indented into the card, that's a sign that it's probably a modern seal, right? Because it would be able to lay flat through the industrial process?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. There's a great vid showing how the seal works in steel molds. That's quite cool to see.
Right, and that's that.
And if you don't have that equipment, if you're doing it at home, it doesn't look that way. So you get different results.
And it seems as though some of them too are kind of not just missealed, but coming off the bottom of.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm trying to figure out is why would he do this and seal it so that the bottom, it kind of comes off the bottom? I mean, why do that? Why not have it fit right on the card?
I don't know. I think it's just personal because it seemed difficult to do. Even Kenner bubbles in the bottom are quite. They're often loose. I don't know if it has to do something about the bubble shapes that makes them more difficult to seal in the bottom or not.
Right.
So it could be one of those things.
Right. Wow. Well, I will say that.
And one of the other things that, for the first time, that this will come out wrong. Not for the first time, but variant collectors have found different variants on impossible cards.
Oh.
So and that is really the COO from Taiwan batch number 82.D. I don't know what the variants are these days. That's not supposed to be on a German card.
Right. That makes sense.
And
yeah.
that's so all the OO madness can actually do some really good here.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and actually, because every single one of them says made in Hong Kong, so should we assume that every single toy was made in Hong Kong?
I don't know about that because so much can happen. Steel molds could have went to mechanical factory, to PPP factory, to Peltor factory. We don't know about that.
Right.
But this guy Uli, OLI, he has some high-res pictures of the loose figures that Tony has bought in the past. So if there are some listeners out there that's been buying from carded figures from Tony the last weeks, please contact Oli so he can compare if the loose figures that Tony has bought is the same one as in the sealed carded figures.
Ooh, maybe one of us should just buy it and just be tricky, you know?
Yeah, he's trying to cover everything up now. He's making his eBay accounts secret, changing names, etc.
Oh, that's the worst part.
Yeah.
Well, the other worst part is
everything.
Unused. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he's not responding. That's if so many people have said, if it was me that were being accused, I would be all over the place trying to defend myself.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not. And then there's all the German, another thing, the last thing, maybe not the last, all the German ones, the cards released in Germany didn't have the English text on the back, collect all 45. But all the card figures from Tony has that text.
Huh.
Did you follow me?
Yeah, so... But I mean, it's not like people don't think that he actually just made these card backs, right? That wouldn't...
No, absolutely not. So there's another thing for the theory that these might be some rejected quality control sample put in boxes and pellet toy. So someone said oh my God, we can't have collect all 45 to the German market.
Right, that's the only German on there.
Exactly.
Except for trademarks of Lucasfilm. Hey, that's really cool. Huh.
And I think it was Wolfgang that discovered, maybe not Wolfgang that discovered it, but he has tons of card backs and carded figures from his childhood and stuff.
Right.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but no one seemed to have found a childhood German mock or card back that has the English text.
Wow. And to me, the saddest thing is, as a collector of 2D, I would have I prefer the unused card back to the carded figures. I
haven't written that. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I'm almost mostly pissed about that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, if Tony wanted to make things right with me, just for every single one of your fakes that I own, just send me 2 real card backs and I'll call it a day. Because I would love to have 2, real German mistaken card backs. That's such a cool story. Whereas now I'm trying to think, if these are fake, I'll probably just tear the figure off the bubble and just, well, I don't know what I'd do.
Keep the card.
Yeah, just keep the card.
I completely agree. And one last thing about the German card back, which I haven't posted yet. I actually own a German quality control carded 2-1B figure.
Really?
Yeah. I will post pictures. I will send it to you when we quit. And it's signed by Paltoy. It was part of a bigger find. So Paltoy definitely printed the German cardbacks. But the quality control approval sticker is placed on a cardback that doesn't have the English text.
Really?
Yeah. So in that it's not again, it's not proof, but the quality control approval sticker is placed on a cardback with no English text.
Wow, that's amazing. 1 second. What do you want to say, dear? You're hungry? I know. We're going to go out for sushi really soon, okay? I'm just talking about the fakes with Matthias. Yeah, we'll go to Friendly's. Okay. Yes, we can still have ice cream. Okay, but let me finish up talking to Matthias. Okay. It's her birthday dinner. Actually, I will say the kids were sick yesterday, and so they didn't go to school. So I'm like, well, you're going to learn something anyways. And I took out all of my Palatoy Chewbacca's, and we just sat there, and they just poured over them, looking at them, trying to find it. And my son was trying to be a little
I love
detective. And I have to say, Matthias, I discovered something that I never knew, and this isn't about Toy Tony. We'll go back to Toy Tony. But there is a printing error in the Chewbacca nameplate that goes from the 12-back one-sided proof through the 65-back.
That's
and
awesome.
is present on as all the foreign carded I could find as well. So like I always just assumed that each time they made a new nameplate. But if you look at a Chewbacca nameplate, if you're at home, you can look on the enhanced version, or you can look at it in front of you. Right above the B, there's like this little hair that goes a little bit up and over, and it's definitely not a part of the metal racetrack. So I remember looking at it, being like, "Ha! I found one. I found the pink dot." And then I looked. I'm like, "Oh wait, it's actually on this. Oh, it's actually on this." And what's cool is if you look at the 65 back, it's very faint. But if you look at the 12 back proof, it's really strong. So like over the years, this strange, hair, I don't know what it was, has kind of faded out over time. So I thought you'd appreciate that, Matthias, as a fan of printing.
That's awesome. That means like the photographer that took a picture of the mechanical, he dropped a hair on the nameplate, and then that's been there like ever since.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Just that I had no idea. I thought they had to just redo the nameplate, because what's strange is they had to add the trademark because it wasn't initially trademarked, and then they just still it somehow didn't change.
But that would mean they would need to airbrush it, because if they had taken the picture already, which is the way the process works, they would have to make it all over again.
Oh, okay.
And the mechanical was most likely like already destroyed or something.
Huh. So then.
My guess is that the hair is not like on the separation sheets or anything. It was like on the film that took the picture of the mechanical.
Okay. And then and the text has nothing to do with the right, because they could write anything they want inside that text, because that's not part of the same thing. Anyway, so it's been fun just looking over these card backs. If nothing else good comes out of this, I've discovered that even Chewbacca's nameplate is hairy.
And I was going to say that's like hilarious. It's on Chewbacca.
Yeah. So then, I guess the real question is, where do you think this goes from here, Matthias?
I honestly don't know. Hopefully someone will take being charged. I don't have any money put into this, so someone with lots of time and rage should like collect all the evidence and see what we could do. I think Joe O'Brien has tried to do that like today, trying to assemble all the proofs in one thread over at the UK forum.
Oh, okay.
So I think I think all the evidence is there. Evidence with like a too strong word, but everything is there. But someone needs to like assemble it all together, get the facts down, try to make a case of it. Not to make it like a court case, but like for all the collectors, all the threads. Like there's hundreds of pages and speculations, and we need like one page with the facts.
Right, and no offense to Star Wars Forum UK, but one of the posters on there has this like kind of joke signature picture of implying that R2-D2 is committing fellatio on Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So like I was looking through the thread while looking with my kids, and like they looked over like, hey, look, there's C3. I mean, there's R2, and I had to like scan it and close the thing. So. It's funny. It's a funny GIF, but
I laughed the first time, but in every post.
Yeah, but when it's when it's a couple thousand posts and your kids keep seeing it, well, I guess that's it. And I think it just seems that there's there's so much money involved in this, and and obviously to me the other question is, why now? Why would Jason decide now is the time to talk about it? I mean, that's,
I honestly think the timing is perfect. His Pal Toy Vinyl Cape Java was questioned,
right?
And one way to like, when he signed up, it's probably easy for, while he was there, he was also trying to talk about the gray-limbed snowtroopers, etc. So maybe something he just said, maybe it was like planned because he was mad at Tony, maybe, who knows, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he just didn't start a thread and starting to accuse Tony for making fakes. It was the Vinyl Cape Java thread that started it.
Right, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of fishy. Well, awesome, Matthias. I really appreciate it. I think it's as clear as it's going to be for the moment.
I don't know about clear, but well, let the speculations and stuff continue.
Yeah, but it is exciting. I mean, it's definitely horrible and it's terrible, but it's also interesting to spend this much time and try and figure out the crime of the century.
It's almost a perfect crime. It's so well made. It's scary,
yeah.
and still we have to remember that there's no definite proof yet, but all the indications are there definitely.
Right.
I have my personal opinion. I don't like someone has made some fake or some mod carded figures sometime. It was Tony, Jason, someone else, I don't know, but someone has made them up at home.
Right. And of course, out of all this, the key figure being Arthur has apparently deceased. So in all scam stories...
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, we forgot to say that. Tony claimed, I know you need to head to dinner, but we have to say that Tony went onto the board trying to defend himself early on. And he said, I don't know who this Arthur is. And one thread later, someone has done some detective work, and they found out that Tony and Arthur has had a company together.
Wow. Yeah.
And Tony's response was, yeah, he started a company with my name. We're going to do something we never did.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not
sounds like
not the same thing as not knowing who somebody is.
So we could talk forever. Yeah. You need to bring some more people on. Joe would probably get a much clearer view on things.
I've been trying to get him on the show for years, but it hasn't come on. We should get Joe. Hey, we should get Jason on.
Yeah, definitely.
Have him talk.
Like I said, he's a funny guy. He does a perfect Britney Spears thing.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, and hey, if Tony's out there listening, you want to clear your name. By far, this is the place to do it. So awesome, Matthias. Well, we're going to be recording the show later with Martin, but I appreciate you coming on and helping us out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And don't forget to check another thread on the British Forum with Dave's Trilogo production sheet.
Oh, okay. I won't.
You have to mention that on the next podcast as well.
Okay, we will. All right, cool, Matthias.
Take care. Enjoy dinner.
Toy Tony's scandal update now. Since I recorded with Matthias, we have also seen a release from Jason Joyner, of a sheet that is apparently a handwritten sheet from the early 90s from Arthur that indicates the number of card backs and bubbles and loose figures that were available to purchase. We'll include pictures of this. Just some notable things. They're divided into Empire cards, German, and Jedi cards. There's an amazing amount of certain figures, like 1,234 C-3POs on Jedi cards. And then a note that there's only 31 loose figures. Interestingly, there's also reference to several boxes of bubbles. It's called 6 cartons of blisters or bubbles for mounting figures to cards. So that is, again, apparently another piece of evidence, but once again, it can't really be confirmed, and people are still questioning the source being Jason Joyner as potential conflicted interests or potential lack of fidelity. So that is where things are as of now, where I am editing this in my office at my university on the 21st of December. Stay tuned to StarWarsForum.co.uk. Stay connected to RebelScum.com, and send lots of emails to Matthias. Okay, and now back to our podcast. Okay, so that was Matthias talking for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Can you believe all that?
It is pretty amazing. Are you up on that, Martin? Have you been following it closely?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you have anything from that from Toy Tony?
Oh no, I have nothing like that in my collection.
No. Do you work on foreign stuff or?
No, my collection is different. I collect store gift cards.
Okay.
And personalized license plates.
Huh. Really?
Yes. That's the focus of my collection.
So
I have
Star Wars store gift cards?
Yeah, all Star Wars related.
Wow. Okay, so at Barnes & Noble or something, there'll be a picture of Boba Fett gift card, and you'd get one of those.
Right. I'll have them put the minimum amount of money they're allowed to put on there, and turn around and spend it right away.
You know what my kids
just keep the card.
What we do in my family is we just take the cards. Is that wrong?
Some stores don't let you do that.
Oh. Do you know if Disney World is one of those stores? Because we went in there and I just told my daughter, you take every single one of those you want. And so she just took a stack of them who just left the store.
Did they come after you?
No. I mean, there's no money on them, so I just figure it's just,
right.
Now thinking about it, I do see it as stealing. At the time, I didn't really see it that way. Oh, wow. That's cool. And then personalized license plates. So then do you find people on the street who have a Star Wars license plate and then ask them for an extra? Or how do you go about collecting that?
No, I carry a screwdriver in my pocket and just take them.
You know what? I do that with my kids too. No, but seriously, how do you get them?
No, basically from eBay.
Okay.
And then, some friends have given me their old plates. That's always nice.
Now,
in fact, the first plate I got was from a high school friend of my older brother. So back in 1983 in Ohio, his license plate was Jedi 3. Apparently somebody had Jedi 1 and Jedi 2.
Right.
And then years later, he just gave me that license plate because he knew I was a collector of other things. I wasn't collecting license plates at that time, but that was the first one I got, and it eventually just took off from there.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. That's definitely unique. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone else that has that as a focus. That's awesome.
Now, I'm trying to think, Martin, if I should send you mine. I don't know if you know this, but I randomly got 1977 at the end of my license plate.
Wow.
Which is both my birth year and the year of Star Wars. But the joke was I didn't even think about my birth year until my mom saw it. And she was like, "Oh, look, that's your birth year." I'm like, "Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's that too." I just thought of Star Wars. Yeah, but that wouldn't count, would it? Like a random a random 1138 wouldn't count.
Not to me, no.
Okay. How many Chewbacca ones do you have?
Wow. I don't think I have any.
All right.
Because his name is too long to fit on his license plate.
Yeah, but that could be like Chewie or...
Yeah.
In Italian,
I don't
they
think
call
I've
him
seen
Chewie. Huh. All right, well, that's... I guess I have my... And B-Wing? A lot of B-Wings?
I saw a B-Wing on the road a couple years ago.
Huh. Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Wow, that's
awesome.
It wasn't me. And let's see here. I think it's kind of fun to like mix in interview questions for Martin with news stories and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
To us, it seems like we just are talking, but to the audience, they just heard Matthias talk a long time about Jason Yoiner. Is it bad for me that because I just once he started calling him Jason instead of Jason, I just thought that sounded cooler, so I kept with it. Is that like that's not making fun of him, right? Or it is a little bit. What do you think, Steve?
It's teetering the line, I guess, but I think you're talking. I mean, Matthias, he's usually in good spirits about that kind of thing. So
yeah, and it's just Jason is such a cooler name than Jason.
That's true.
Actually, though, kind of getting back to that, have you guys noticed that very few people actually talk about why Jason Joyner has a bad reputation? Have you noticed that, Martin, yourself?
Yes, I've sort of.
Like, has anyone ever told you what the deal is?
No.
Isn't that weird? Like, because there's some deal, and it's like, you know what it is? It must be the inner circle has the secrets or something.
Here we go.
You know, like that must be like the inner circle gets together and be like, yeah, let's talk about what happened. Let's never tell those jerks on the Kivecast what happened. You know.
The only time I met Jason was at I guess it was Celebration 3 in Indianapolis. And you remember that where you had to wait in line for hours and hours to get into the store.
Oh yeah.
And to buy that Darth Vader figure. So I finally got in there, and I bought 8 of that Darth Vader figure, which was the maximum you could.
Right.
And actually, when I got out, I noticed they had stuff 9 in my bags, so I got 1 bonus right there.
Awesome.
And then, so most of those were, I was getting them for friends, and then the extras, I went into the dealer room and just tried to sell it, and Jason Joyner gave me like $40 right on the spot for my Vader, so he's an okay guy to me.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh wow. Huh. Well, I guess that's it. I mean, we've been talking about him for a couple of months because of the whole Guinness thing.
Right. Right.
So I think we can basically take credit for all this happening, Steve.
It was the first thing to drop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You brought it all out of the woodwork.
Now, Martin, sort of. Actually, speaking of mysterious figures, Martin, I think you're a mysterious figure to me. Did you know that?
Nope.
Because I've heard of you a lot, and you're always around, but I don't always exactly know sort of like what you're up to, and like, yeah, I know you're the Yoda guy, but I didn't know about the plates. I didn't know about the store cards. So like, what's up with you, Martin? No, I'm just kidding. Steve, have you felt the same way?
I mean, I've always known who Martin was, but I guess I think I've only met you in person once or twice, and it's true. I know you're always busy and you've got so much that you're involved in, but yeah, like your personal collection, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. And the reason that this really hit home was when we started this show, we got a lot of comments saying like, "Oh man, you guys got to get Martin on. What your show is just like his old magazine."
Right.
And I'd seen the magazine a couple of times, but it was before I was like a super serious collector or whatever. So I didn't put the name and the face together. So that really is the main reason. It's not actually about Yoda. So I've wanted to have you on, Martin, because you sent me a copy of Star Wars Collector. How many years ago was it, Martin?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
It's probably like the first month. It was like back when it was like back when there's only one Wampa to start the show, and Wampa, and the show ended with Steve saying "See you later" instead of adios, and ever since then, like I've wanted to talk to you about this because you essentially released a paper version of an audio Star Wars magazine.
Yeah.
So tell us about Star Wars Collector. What was that?
Yeah, the Star Wars Collector was a little fan newsletter that I published in the 1990s, and it was something that I thought was needed in the hobby for a long time before that, and then for me personally, right around 1990, 91, 92, the sort of technology, or at least I finally got access to the technology to actually make it possible to do. And started out very small, and I was doing it all by myself. And for the first year or so, I was putting out every 2 months, just a few pages stapled together. And for the first year, it really felt like the newsletter that I expected it to be.
Right.
Which was, just very kind of basic, but delving into areas of the hobby that the tops magazines were never going to go into. And then, more and more people found out about it, and I got letters, and people started writing articles for me, and it got better and better as the years went on.
And so it started in '92, right?
Yeah, end of '92.
So was it technically a zine?
Yeah, it falls into that category. It was black and white. I'll just print it on my home printer, and I stapled it together and mailed it out. And
how many of Star Wars Collector #1 are out there? I mean, is it a collector's item now?
Yes, it is. I could probably dig. I probably have records somewhere of how many I mailed out, but I really don't remember. It's probably I would guess a total guess. Probably like 50 of #1 probably went out.
Huh.
And then at the peak, I was probably sending out. I'm guessing like something on the order of 300 I was sending out. I don't know.
Well, Steve, I think that's probably where we're at with our monthly listeners.
Yeah, that's true. So, it's right around that number.
I think we started about 50, and that's awesome. Actually, I was thinking, Martin, that I was wondering if you made the magazine because when you read Tomart's, the grammar was so bad you couldn't read it, so you had to write your own magazine. Have you ever read Tomart's, Martin?
I've flipped through it. I can't say that I've actually read any of it.
They had really great articles on Kenner. A couple of, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, they had really unprecedentedly great articles, nice full-color pictures. And the stuff that was written by people that I know, we know, I think Bill and Tracy wrote something, whatever, that was fine. But just the articles that they wrote, it was just forget lays and lies and transitive verbs. It's it was without a doubt, the most important things about the Star Wars collections from Kenner's, which is what it is that it was the first of it. It's just, oh, yeah. All right. Steve, you got to get us off the grammar track, okay? Yeah.
Man.
And so why have you not digitized these, Martin?
Some of them are.
Okay, but I mean, is it that are you still selling them? Is it still possible to buy them from you?
I still have a few back issues to sell.
Okay.
Yeah. And also the most of the soft copies of the old ones are gone, actually.
Huh.
I forget. I think I started out on a Macintosh way back when.
Okay.
And so those files are gone, and the newer ones, as it evolved, I got David Pipgrass started helping me out with doing all the page layouts, and he used some fancy page maker or something, and I can't do anything with those files.
Right. Huh. Well, I think you should do it anyways, right?
Yeah.
Can't you just scan? You could just scan them, right?
I could certainly. Yeah, I can do. I have PDFs of a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people would like to see it, and we definitely. Because you sent me an issue, and I had a lot of fun looking through it. And I mean, even if some of the information is found other places, it's a part of the hobby. It's
part of the history.
A lot of the stuff that we like talking about here is what was the pre-internet thing, and this is exactly. This is the this is the print version of the audio magazine. See, that's a joke, but you guys just aren't laughing. I hope my audience is laughing. Oh, jeez.
That's not so much of a joke. I mean, I was going to say it's like Rask V with pictures.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good analogy, I think. Yeah.
It's the next generation from Rask V, and it's the podcast may be the next generation of a fanzine.
Yeah. Now there's a couple things that I found. Just because I couldn't find any scans, I did find on sandcrawler.com like an order sheet, and they have just certain references to what's in each issue.
Yeah.
Now most of the things I know what they are, but a couple things I don't know.
Okay.
The number one question is, what is a Wookiee commode?
The Wookiee commode was a name of a fiction fanzine back in the mid-'80s, late '80s.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me more. What do you mean a fiction fanzine?
A fan fiction. So there's a whole segment of the hobby, and this seems to happen in almost all genres of science fiction and movies and things. But there always seems to be a segment of the hobby where people just write stories using the characters from the movie.
Right.
And there's hundreds and hundreds of these fanzines that have been produced over the years, and the vast majority are, like I said, they just take the characters, write new stories. Sometimes they get kind of adult rated, so to speak. There's that type of stories out there.
We'll be getting into some of that later.
After the kids go to bed.
Yeah. Wow. So that was Wookiee commode.
So one of them was called the Wookiee commode, and I actually don't know what the contents were like on that one.
Huh. Well,
7 issues in the 1980s.
I would actually have to put this out there in general. If there's anybody out there who has a collection of this pre-internet fan fiction, especially at the 80s or 70s, I find that really fascinating to see like what the objects actually look like. So definitely contact us if you. I mean, I'm sure some of our listeners. Well, I guess if Martin doesn't know more, probably no one knows. But oh well.
I have an extensive list of all the fanzines and pictures of a lot of them.
Really cool.
On Sandcrawler, yeah.
Oh, okay. But you don't run Sandcrawler, do you?
I run the part of it that's the Star Wars Bible, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you talk to us about that then?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, way back when, I, like all children of the late 70s, fell in love with Star Wars, and I wanted to buy everything.
Right.
I'm a collector. And I discovered pretty early on, like 1978, that it's going to be impossible to buy everything. So I resolved myself to, instead of owning everything, I would just collect the information about everything.
Right.
So I became what I call a meta collector. I collect information about collectibles.
Ah.
So back when I was a kid, I just wrote stuff in notebooks, and I had notebook after notebook of information, data about every Star Wars collectible I could find. And then when the internet rolled around, I recognized a way to publish that, if you will. So I kind of threw it up on the website, and I called it the Star Wars Collector's Bible. And it's on sandcrawler.com. You can go look it up, but it's ugly. It's like 1980s ugly. But that's not the point.
You're saying that the layout.
The layout is ugly. It's just a bunch of text.
you are talking
This
to the Star Wars
definitely is.
Collectors Archive podcast, so part of the charm of this 20-year-old institution is it doesn't have this newfangled, nice to look at, pages everywhere. A lot of it is just information. And I got to tell you, Martin, just while talking to you here, because I remember spending a fair amount of time with the Star Wars Bible, of whatever, a while ago when I was starting to learn. I hadn't checked it out in a while, and I had noticed how much you've been updating it. And right here, dude, you got to tell me I'm an idiot, because fanzines is like the last thing you updated here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's one of the things I'm still updating. I about a year and a half ago, I made the decision to pretty much stop updating everything. It's just too much work.
Right.
But fanzines is one thing I still kind of look for information.
So go to sandcrawler.com/SWB. That's
all caps.
All caps.
And that's a /, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Oh God, I just got to lies down. SWB/fanzines.html. And Steve, you may want to check this out, because remember what I just said? Like, do you know what would be cool is if someone had a list and pictures of all these fanzines? This is a list and pictures of all the fanzines. This is literally your trademark of stupidity happening in real time. Oh, wow. That's great. And I could spend hours on this, just looking at it. There's like this great...
There's some Wookiee commode here, Sky.
I know, it's
Yes, there it is.
There it is. And I love the drawings. Now, Martin, do you have... I have one for you that I bet you don't have. It's a Korean Star Wars fanzine from around 2005 that I found on the street in Seoul.
What?
Like I was just walking around in Seoul, and it was I think it's called like Jedi Rutu, I think is what it's called, and it's all in Hangul, the writing. Wow. So I finally found someone who might care about that, and I think it's a part of a series, but it's almost like a fan-made comic book, but of something having to do with Star Wars. But yeah, so there it is, Steve. My trademark is stupidity. It's all right here. Yeah, so man, that's fun. So yeah, I would say that's sort of another. I guess what I meant to say, Martin, is I think that I probably should have spent more time paying more attention to the stuff that you've done, because a lot of stuff you've done is the stuff I complain that other people don't do. So, like making this great stuff, and you can see all of your gift cards here too.
Yep.
Wow, there's a lot of gift cards, hey?
Mm-hmm.
But so you did a panel all at C6, which apparently Steve and I didn't see for some reason, which I don't know why. But you did a panel just on gift cards?
Yeah, it was one of the lightning talks, so it was only 15 minutes.
Okay, all right.
I've been bugging Gus to let me do it for years. He finally gave in.
Yeah, and you've been sort of a pretty constant presence at the collector panels. Have you been doing that? Like, when was the first time you started working at the collector panels?
That started at Celebration 3.
Okay. That
was the first celebration I went to.
And were you the one who would walk around putting the card sets on the chairs?
Yeah, that was me.
That was the first time I saw you. Okay. Phew. All right, we had some technological difficulties there, Steve.
Back online?
Back online. The last thing that I asked Martin was if he liked this kind of hybrid format of news and interview. Mm-hmm. And he said that he did. So I said, How about a news story, Steve?
And then there was just crickets.
Crickets, yes.
Just absolute dead silence, and then the call recorder broke, and I tell you. So what's your next news story, Steve?
Let's see. We got a couple choices. We could go with... why don't we... Well, I guess, Martin, you've probably seen this. Have you seen this whole Laserdisc footage discovery of the outtakes with Yoda?
I heard about it, but I didn't watch it.
Okay. Actually. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and from a historical perspective, you get all this outtake footage, and it's just Frank Oz kind of doing his thing with, the moments we're all familiar with, but just in a slightly different version. It's just interesting to see. I haven't been able to watch the whole thing myself, but what's cool is that it still seems to be around. You would think that something like this would kind of get the axe rather quickly, but it's got a following.
Yeah, it's pretty wicked. I'd have to advise people to listen to Rebel Force Radio. Because they interviewed the guy. He's really funny. He's like this kind of like independently wealthy guy who just like keeps swearing and just doesn't care.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just like, people have offered me money. I don't care. They can bollocks off or whatever they say in England. And it's really cool. I mean, the crazy thing obviously doesn't have nothing to do with toys, but still, the crazy thing really is that for you, Steve, have you watched it carefully?
Not the whole thing. I watched the first, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes of it pretty carefully, but I haven't finished it yet.
Because, Yoda says, Obi-Wan, wanted to tell you that Darth Vader was your father, but I wouldn't let him.
Yeah, yeah.
So it totally changes the dynamic and the reputation of Obi-Wan as a huge liar.
Right.
And it actually kind of introduces the idea of Yoda as being kind of a jerk, which Lucas would develop a lot in the prequel trilogy. Do you feel that way, Martin? Do you feel that Yoda kind of turns into a jerk in the prequel trilogy?
Yeah, I was never comfortable with some of the crap he was spewing, and especially episode 1 and 2, but never could put my finger on it. That makes sense now.
Just seems kind of, I don't know. But what I love is that it was a collector who got it, and it was a collector who got it who was just looking smartly, and it was just this weird editing technique and this random slideshow. And actually, speaking of Rebel Force Radio, I don't know how much you guys listen to it, but they have. So on their feed, they have a bunch of other shows that are affiliated with them. Mm-hmm. And they have this new show out that is just awesome. And now when I say that Rebel Force Radio is really good, I don't think that most of our listeners necessarily want to listen to people talk about Star Wars for 2 hours a week, right? Like, they want to hear talking about the toys and vintage collecting and stuff, and that's not necessarily, it's not that much crossover, right?
Right.
But Star Wars Influences is Jimmy Mack, who's one of the hosts, and what's that guy's name? A really nice guy out of England who worked a lot with Ralph McQuarrie, and they just talk about the influences on Star Wars. So the whole first episode is all about cinema, and it goes to Kurosawa, but it goes further than that.
Yeah.
Then the second episode, Paul Bateman is the guy's name. Just thinking about it. And it's really high-level Star Wars talk about the stuff that influenced George Lucas. And some of it's speculative, but it's sort of at the highest level of, arcani, or arcane. How do I pronounce that, Martin?
You got me.
Okay.
Arkham Asylum? Oh, no.
Exactly. So I would advise you guys to check that out.
Yeah.
And that actually led to the next story, Steve.
Let's see. The next one.
Well, no, okay, not the next story on the show notes.
Origin,
the next story
something about an origin?
Yes, that I'm going to segue into, which is they started talking about the comic book origins.
Yeah.
That George Lucas, he used to own a comic book store in New York, right? I think it was called Super Snipe, and it's known that he collects comic art. Mm-hmm. And a couple of years ago, it was Defunder. I always forget his real name. What's Defunder's real name?
It's Steven.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
He actually hosted a meeting of the California Collectors Club.
Way back
I should have
in the
known
early
his name
days.
was. I should have known his name was Steven, because everybody's name is Steven.
That's true.
Established.
As we all know.
So he came out on Rebel Scum with this whole thing about this underground comic from 1974 that featured a Princess Leia lookalike.
Right.
And I remember freaking out about it and just being like, this is the coolest thing ever. And the images that he showed were a little bit risque, and some of them were taken down. And Martin, I don't know if you have the same experience that I do. I often find the more interesting the discovery, the less people talk about it. It's one of my favorite things about your site, Martin, is the parts where you get bitter at the lack of recognition that you get for all your hard work. Which which I think I've only reinforced by saying, "Gee, I wish someone would catalog these fanzines." I thought Steven should have got more credit for this discovery, and so it sort of got me thinking when I heard them talk about this comic book, spirit. So what I did is I went on a search and I found this comic book, and it's called Spaced #1 by a guy named James Pinkowski. Mm-hmm. And I bought it, and I've scanned it, and I'm going to try to put it all on our show notes.
Oh, nice.
So I actually might just have a whole other post of the entire story.
Okay.
And the hair is definitely Princess Leia hair.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she also wears the Princess Leia necklace.
Right.
And this guy, James Pinkowski, he just worked at a comic book store in Marin County or in San Francisco across the bay,
Yeah.
This underground comic scene, and when I say underground comics, that's with 3 X's. This is a extremely graphically sexual comic book. It really just, this is kind of, he was an artist and he was living in the Bay Area and he collected comic books. I think it's a dead ringer. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm going too far?
I mean, there's definitely some connection there. It's pretty obvious, but as far as how it could be connected, I guess it's tough to say, but it's right there as far as a visual.
Yeah, and I will just tell you the rest of. So this is do you guys want to hear the storyline?
I don't know. Do we?
Yeah, it's weird. So there's. We'll just call her Princess Leia.
Well, the weird never stops us, Sky. So.
Yes, it's true. It's true. It's Princess Leia is just sitting in a room that's covered in hieroglyphics, and someone says, "Okay, you're ready," and she's not wearing any clothes. Well, she's wearing a necklace, but she's not wearing any other clothes. And there's a mummy, and there's a guy in a hood. And the guy in the hood's like, I feel what he feels. And she has Congress with the mummy. And she has Congress very explicitly with the mummy. You cannot have Congress more explicitly in the artistic form that she has with the mummy. And then there's this weird thing where, this guy in the hood, kills a robber, and then a big egg shows up and takes the guy in the hood away, and then it says, and 9 months later, this thing built a pyramid, and then it turns out the thing is an alien, and they go, way to go, Cheops, which is the name of the Egyptian architect. And then you see him, and he doesn't have a wang. I don't know if that was it wasn't a punchline, but it was kind of funny because when you see the mummy's, anyways.
Man.
So that's the whole story, and maybe we'll put it on the Star Wars Bible, Martin. I don't know if you guys allow XXX stuff, but this is some pretty funky line drawing.
That was quite a recounting, Sky.
Yes. Without getting the explicit, and that'll be our new features. Sky explains XXX underground comics without swear words. Now I can't exactly describe. And then the cool thing is at the very end of the comic is a takeoff on the Dennis O'Neil, Neil Adams, Green Arrow, and Green Lantern comic books, which are pretty famous among comic book collectors as being this real gritty 70s comic books. And he just does a version except where they're not wearing any clothes, and it gets weird. So anyways, that's the first time we're going to talk about James Pinkowski and Spaced. Martin, you will also be interested to know that he actually is making other zines. Did you know that?
No, I don't think I did.
He's making other zines, and he's now a hardcore born-again Christian.
Oh, my.
So he makes these, magazines with, aliens with lightsabers and, Jesus and, Vader. And it's he's sending me them right now, and he says once he sent them to me in the mail, we can interview him.
Oh, man. This is...
So we are going to be interviewing him, and and he's a little bit embarrassed because he's a born again Christian. So the fact that he has Congress having comic books in the past, and he's not like, oh, Lucas owes me money. He's like, I don't know. We'll have to see what's going on. And he very smartly told me that he already burned the original art. So if any of you are like me and are thinking about trying to contact him, it's too late. Yeah, so that's not exactly a new news story, but I want to kind of get the ball rolling. I sent something to Jimmy Mack, hoping that they'll talk about it on the next episode. I made a little graphic for it.
Yeah.
I signed it with Kivecast.com because I thought this has the potential to go viral, don't you think?
I mean, I think so.
Right? I mean, wouldn't you send it to somebody?
Yeah.
Wow, Steve, thanks.
You already have sent it to some people. You gotta let it run now.
Yeah, it's true. Trying to sound hip to these youngins here, Martin. That doesn't quite work.
No, it won't work with me. Well, by the way, Sky, while you were pushing the limits of family radio there, I was doing a quick little research on where the Leia buns came from, and I don't think there's any concept art that has Leia's buns. So it's that sort of makes it a little bit more possible that Lucas just stole it directly out of that comic book, I think.
Right, yeah. I mean, she also has a really long braid at the same time, so it's not exactly the same. Okay. But what's weird is that she even kind of makes like Carrie Fisher faces. Like it's weird when you read it. It is kind of like that is sort of Princess Leia boning King Tut. I mean, the comic strip is called Tut Tut. So Tut Tut Watto. There's the prequel reference.
Oh man!
But yeah, so I've already scanned it all, and I'll put it up once I can figure it out. But I thought that was going to dominate the Star Wars news cycle, and then someone just happens to defraud someone out of a couple $100,000, and it's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, before we get to the next thing, Martin, you actually mentioned that there was more you wanted to talk about Star Wars Collector, so I want to hear more. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I wanted to. We didn't really touch on kind of all the great stuff that was in there, if I may say so. It was the first time, and it was actually the official list of Topps promo cards, for example, back in 94, 95.
Right.
One of my subscribers worked at Topps, and he made sure I got all the latest information on the promo cards and where they were being distributed and all that. And he considered my the newsletter to be the official list.
And so that was for the Star Wars Galaxy cards?
The Galaxy, yeah, and then they started doing Wide Vision and on all those, yeah.
Man,
those were the sets they were working on.
And those Galaxy cards, because I know that do you have like a full collection of those? Or no. But man, those were definitely huge for me when I got back into liking Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still have a binder of every single card from that set, and I remember like watching the movie and then taking out the cards and looking at them, and watching the movie and taking them out again. Those were really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Steve, why don't we just kind of jump ahead? You actually wanted to talk about something there, but seeing as we're talking about Star Wars Galaxy cards, you wanted to talk about the famous band card. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I was looking for Yoda stuff, and then I found one that had a connection with Martin, and it was that kind of odd Yoda card where there are other of Yoda's kind of worshiping a statue of him, and it just seemed bizarre to me, and I'd love to get a little bit more insight about it. Let's see if I can.
I think from you, Martin, not from me.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was one of the promo cards for the Galaxy 2 series. Like you said, it has some artwork. It's actually there's 3 Yodas apparently worshiping a statue of Yoda, and one of them was kind of floating in the air. And Topps apparently printed up this card, but then Lucasfilm said, no, you're not allowed to give out a card with this Yoda imagery. That we're not going to prove this. Basically, the story is that George Lucas wanted Yoda to be more mysterious, and didn't even want this kind of. Even though this image itself is mysterious, he didn't want he didn't want any information about Yoda to get out at that time. So Lucasfilm canceled this card.
Yeah.
But Topps had already printed it.
Okay, so how many would you say made it out to people's hands?
It's hard to say, but my opinion is that it was more than a handful, but fewer than will fit in a breadbasket.
Okay. What I love about it, though, is it just made me think of yogurt and Spaceballs. Because they go to his temple, I'm like, man, it looks like yogurt. And then it's an old entry, so it's Gus saying, this will make one wonder about Yoda's role in the upcoming prequels, and just to see that still existing as it is, I love that. It's unchanged.
Yeah, and we're gearing up for the 20th anniversary of the Star Wars Collector's Archive, and that is so cool.
Yeah.
What will his role be? That's awesome. And I mean, because then no one ever talks about that weird other Yoda, the weird Yaddle, right? Like, that's a mystery. Like, how did Lucas let that happen? But
right.
Well, see,
I think
now
we are vintage geeks talking to vintage geeks, so I think we're all completely glossing over the fact that Topps eventually did produce this card officially a few years ago.
Okay.
I think.
But did they release it as a card about the history of the card itself, or on its own merit?
That I don't know.
If you're the meta collector, you have to be able to talk about a card that is in fact about a card, and is not a card itself.
This is true.
Well, we have a lot of fans out there, a lot of space freaks who are really good with Photoshop. So my order to them is an order to show thanks to Martin for the Star Wars Collector and for the Star Wars Bible and all of his great work that he's done. Could you please do a version of this card with Martin's face in the middle of the Yoda statue? Because I think that would look just great.
Please don't.
Because then it'd be Yoda worshiping him. And actually all ties pretty nicely, Steve, in with my
That's
with
right.
my haiku
Yep.
my Skyku from earlier in the day.
Everything is connected.
Yeah. So you actually have one of these cards, Martin?
I did.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I gave it to David Pipgrass, who was doing the layouts for the newsletter. I gave it to him as a thank you gift.
Oh, cool.
Way back when.
That's a nice gift.
Yeah, it was.
Awesome. Let's see then. Is there more awesome stuff about the newsletter you want to talk about, now that I've taken us again off track?
Some of the other good things that were in there back in the day. This was my newsletter was the first place where Gus Lopez created his Power of the Force coin rating system.
Oh, cool.
1 through 6 rating or whatever it was. That was premiered in my magazine. And it was the first place where, probably this was talked about in the Rascovy and other news groups or whatever, but again, the first place where we could actually have pictures. For example, the Canadian General Veers figure was talked about in there. We talked about Japanese Coke bottle cap liners, and we had articles like, how can you spot a fake vinyl cape Jawa? And again,
How can you spot a fake entire line of carded figures for 15 years? Did you do that one?
No.
No, okay, because that would have been helpful, Martin. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. And we also had lots of interviews with authors and comic book artists. We had an extensive interview with Brian Daley just a few months before he died. It was a major coup, and and it was some of the. It was an outlet, if you will. It was a a way for people to express their creativity, if you will, in the collecting hobby. For example, Pete Vilmore wrote a lot of articles, and he's told me many times that for him to have a way to publish was really open doors for him to get real jobs.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Huh. I think I need to spend a lot more time. I don't know, Martin. If I were you, I would upload those to the Star Wars Bible, and I would just remind us to promote the Star Wars Bible more. Yeah. Because the more I look around it, it's really fun.
'Tis a nugget from the archive. 'Tis a nugget.
Oh my God, they're gorgeous.
From the archive.
Oh my God, they're gorgeous.
We're here at the Nugget now. So you don't even do you describe yourself as a Yoda collector, Martin?
I don't, but I do have a little collection of Yoda stuff. But the interesting thing about my Yoda collection, in my opinion, nothing that I have in my collection came from eBay.
Really?
It was all stuff I had ever since 1980, or it's stuff that people gave me, or stuff from the swap meet at our club meetings, or what have you.
Huh, that's cool. And do you not even have an eBay account?
Oh, I do.
Okay, but just not for your.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Not for Yoda
not
stuff.
For Yoda. That's cool. I guess Yoda would probably want it that way. But I know you wanted to mention it. You were actually when we talked to you, you said that we should probably talk to someone else as well. But I'm really bad, Steve, at contacting people for this show. So who did you think we should have got a hold of as well, Martin?
Yeah, I thought it would have been nice to have a quote real Yoda collector, and I know a few of them, but one of the bigger ones that I know of is Mike Kurtz.
Yeah,
out in San Diego. He happens to be the founder of the DC Collecting Club, and he moved up there. But he collects Yoda as well as Ewok stuff. His website is Yoda's Holonet.
Oh, Yoda's Holonet, right?
Yeah. It's like a little blog, and he puts up every once in a while. He puts a new piece up that he got or whatever.
Steve, I think we actually promoted that when he first put it up.
It might have been, yeah.
Is that right? Because it's about 4 years old, right? 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did. I think when he first did that, I think we promoted it. Is he a part of the California Club, Steve?
No, I have not heard of him, and it's someone I need to get in there.
Yeah, it's the untapped vein. So we apologize to. What did you refer to them as, Mike? Martin, as real Yoda collectors.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, but let's fix it up a little bit by talking about this nugget, Steve. What did you pull up for us?
All right. So there's the infamous talking toy, the Yoda doll that never quite made it. And I think, there's a few of the prototypes floating out around there, but what I picked out was it's like a photograph of an earlier version of it that just looks really funky. And almost, to me, it looks more like the, as far as the clothing goes, looks like the vintage figure itself rather than what would end up being the doll
right.
for the later stages of it. But yeah, it's just kind of an oddball early piece that the write-up has some good information about the technology involved. And what I did not know was that I guess there was one plan to have it operated with like a tape playing mechanism like Teddy Ruxpin, which is something that my little brother had, and it just cracked me up because I had not thought about that thing, which always creeped me out.
Oh yeah,
it'd be weird to have a Teddy Ruxpin version of Yoda around. But yeah, it's just funny to see how the later versions evolved from this. I mean, the head's way bigger. the clothes are a lot more rough, and to me they just look like scaled up versions of the vintage figure. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like seeing early stuff, and especially when it's just a photograph like this, you really kind of get the idea of where things started.
Yeah, and I like how in his write-up, Ron makes reference to the fact that the picture is on a ping pong table.
Yeah, that's right.
Which let's put this out there for all the super Kenner Raiders and stuff. Was there a ping pong table at Kenner?
Hey, yeah, I mean, could be.
And that is something I would like to have. I mean, could we get the Kenner ping pong table? While they were in between, while they're on their coffee breaks. Yeah, I guess I haven't really studied much about the talking Yoda doll. Do we know much more about it? Do either of you know anything more about it? About the plan that they had to make it?
Well,
I don't.
I mean, as far as the production of the toy itself, there's a lot of different stages. I mean, there's the rotocast kind of mold process stuff, and I think there's some rubber heads out there. And I think we must have seen some of that stuff in.
Yeah, I think Gus had
either
some
Gus's
of that.
or Gus had some of it. But yeah, it's just interesting. So much effort being put into it, and for it not to really work out. But what is great though is on the archive the recordings were, I guess, they're digitized and they're available to play, and it's just lines from the movie. So it's just fun to see those making it that far. But yeah, I mean, you would think there was like a fortune telling Yoda. That was something that did get made, right?
I mean, my trademark is stupidity. I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of venturing at it into unfamiliar territory for me, which is what I try to do as much as I can with this.
Right.
Because I just learn something every time. But yeah, I mean, if you were a kid, would you? I'm just thinking, like, from a kid's perspective, would you rather have a talking Yoda doll or one that told your future? I think as a kid, I think I'd rather have the one that just talked. But
yeah, no, I mean, in 2005 they released a talking Yoda. That was like you had to like squeeze its hand, and it would like tell you the whole story of Star Wars, and it would have trivia, and you'd have to squeeze which hand did the right thing.
Yeah.
But the mechanism wasn't entirely clear, and anytime you moved it, it said the same phrase. So it just wound up kind of driving you crazy. It would just always be, something else wish you to do. Like, no, I just want to, something else wish you to do. All right, listen, I'm just going to move it over here. Something else wish you to do. All right, listen, then a kid would come over and try to play with it, but, like, in order to get it to start working, you had to press both hands simultaneously the exact right way.
See, there's something good about just the simple drawstring,
Yeah.
And I guess, it looks like there's really, less than a dozen of these around, but the fact that the sound still works on some, it really is just insane. I mean, stuff does not last that long, or something like that to survive is it's awesome, really.
Yeah, and I especially like the is it wave or wav? How do you pronounce that file?
Oh, the wave.
Wave, that's wave?
Yeah, I think
it's wave and it's GIF.
It's GIF, not a GIF?
It's a GIF, man. It's GIF.
Are you serious?
Yes. The man who invented GIF put up a web page to tell everybody that it's pronounced GIF.
Wow. That's crazy. All right. Well,
reality changed for you, man.
It did, man. I'm going to write that down in my Microsoft Doc file. But I love the wave of try not do. That's what it says, because I guess they didn't have enough time to actually get the real movie quote. So, one second, I'll put it on the show here.
Yeah, so I figured we were going to have some of these.
It's, let's see, so it just says, it just says, try not, do, which totally takes out the whole poetry of the whole scene. But try not to.
Much more forceful, Yoda, man.
Yeah. That's a cool nugget.
Yeah.
Let's see. Should we go straight into the unloved? Martin, should we do a vintage commercial theater?
Yeah, let's do that.
No, I don't have a commercial theater prepared.
Oh. You set me up.
I did.
We're spared,
to tell you the truth,
Martin,
nothing takes more time than setting up the vintage commercial
I'm
theater.
sure.
Writing all the is it didascally in English too, or French? The stage directions. Do they say didascalia, or is that just in French? Holy crap!
What?
Okay, I gotta keep moving here. All right, let's get the unloved item.
All right.
You don't hate, only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. The unloved and the unnatural.
Steve, you used to study theater, right?
Not theater.
Oh, okay.
It was more like cinema media. The theater was not included in that. So.
See, the problem with knowing English not that well and then learning French is you get stuck with these things where didascally is a word in French, and I don't know if it's a word in English or not. So I'll just say that. I'll be like, it's written in the didascally, and it just sounds like I'm speaking gibberish. But this actually seems like it's maybe a little bit more up your alley, Martin. The article on Christmas cards.
Yeah, I mean, I figured with Pete Vilmer, you just mentioned him getting a start on your magazine. I mean, this is just it's the later expression of that. I mean, I started digging up these old blog posts by Pete on StarWars.com because he tends to just grab the perfect thing that we need. And I mean, we haven't really talked about it. It's December, right? So it's coming up on the holidays, and I wanted to find something funky, and you start to run out when it comes to vintage stuff. So I was glad to
2
see
years
Pete.
ago. 2 years ago, Pete knew that you wanted Christmas cards.
Yes,
Yeah.
he had it in the can for us. But yeah, I mean, I know you get the gift cards, but do you ever do any greeting card stuff?
Oh no, not at all.
Man, see, this is like an untapped venue. I mean, I got this crazy Halloween one, and I'm sure there's more of those, but this is the first set of Christmas ones I'd seen that were, I think these are from 77. So, yeah, drawing board greeting cards, 1977. I mean, I don't know what more we want to say about them other than they are pretty awesome. But, Sky, do you have the Chewbacca one?
No. And there is so much to say about these, Steve.
Yes. I mean, I figured I'm trying to lead you on here. I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not the good prodder that
Steve,
you are.
Martin's here, and if I talk for more than 3 minutes, he's going to get mad at me. No, this is crazy. I hadn't seen these before, and
There's two with Chewie.
yeah. Well, one has Han on there, so it wouldn't count for me.
That's
sorry.
Your collection development policy is strict about the Han Solo depictions, right?
Well, I mean, he can, like I have the 2-pack. He can be there.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
he happens to be there by mistake, if some jerk at KB Toy Store throws him in
man.
instead of, someone good like Klaatu, that's fine. But no, I mean, it's just the clarity of line on this artwork is just outstanding. It
Yeah.
seems like it was an artist who was not working on a ton of reference material. I mean,
No.
if you look at the R2D2 and C-3PO, C-3PO's arms are bored, like completely straight. Like his elbows are not bent. I've never seen a C-3PO. And if you could see me in the Kivecast studio here at the Villa Gorilla, like my hand, I'm just doing the motion with my hands because his arms are totally out. It looks completely wrong.
Yeah.
And you just kind of get the feeling that they just let an artist go for it.
Yeah.
And I love that the 3PO is wearing a Santa hat. I don't think I've ever seen any other. I think that's maybe the earliest sort of weird mix-up with the characters. And I love that it's for an out-of-this-world grandson.
Yeah, so you got the whole family covered here.
Yeah, and for an out-of-this-world granddaughter, just how happy would you be if you were a kid in '77 and you got one of these
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. The Leia on that granddaughter one, it kind of looks like the Bendham. Do you remember those things?
Yeah, we're going to feature the Bendham someday.
Oh yeah, see, I have a feeling there's some people that will cringe and also rejoice. So we'll take both.
The whole thing will just be a debate D8 about is a Bendham vintage or not.
It's from the Nether period, man. The Dark Ages.
You know what? The Bendhams are a lot like the Star Wars, the Galaxy cards, because there was a certain time where there was just nothing to buy that was Star Wars. So anything you saw, you
Weren't
bought.
they packaged together at one point or something similar?
Absolutely, they were.
Yeah, man.
Is that Digby back there, Steve?
Yeah. He's it's separated by 2 doors. He's starting to get a little anxious out there. He might eat his way through. So I apologize.
But yeah, I mean the Leia hologram is just great because it doesn't look like a hologram; it just looks like a little mini
small
Leia.
version of
But the Chewbacca, which I absolutely have to find, it's the mouth. It looks like like the annoying orange, or
oh, you're right.
Or like I don't know, like maybe Jimmy Kimmel does a thing of where Conan used to do it, where they just have the picture and then they'd have the mouth moving in the whole like. It's just is totally incongruous with the rest of the drawing.
Perfect.
Yeah, these are great, and the From the Alliance has Han and Luke, both looking like little kids.
Yeah, you're right, with rosy cheeks and all.
And they have the medal, and of course Chewie doesn't.
And Chewie's arms are way too short, right?
Yeah, so he's like, holy, he looks like a scarecrow.
Yeah.
You know what he looks like? He looks like the Vinergroff pendants. Wait a minute.
Oh man!
I think because I've been in contact with Pete here. Well, in contact I mean I owe him an email, which is basically the way I'm in contact with people. But talking with him about stuff, that looks like the Vinergroff pendant.
Weingeroff.
What is it, Martin?
Weingeroff.
Okay, Weingeroff. Sorry, but doesn't it look like it? The hair?
No, because the Weingeroff pendant has the arms going straight down, and they flip around, remember?
Yeah, no, it has the arms down. But what I'm saying is like the hair, like the coloring and the rigidity of it, the way he looks like he's 2D. Okay, well, we'll see. I'll look at the show notes as I am building the show notes. We'll see if I think, yeah, I was right about that. Yeah, probably.
The guest is always right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Actually, that Chewie kind of looks, dare I say it, a little Sky-esque. Look at that long, absurdly flat hair.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
If it started a little bit further back on his forehead, that would be the Skywalker.
Yeah, no, he's got a bit of your haircut going on, that's for sure.
Oh, great nugget, Steve.
This is our unloved man. This is
unloved, right?
This is beyond. I think we're giving it some good love now. And Pete obviously gave it its due credit 2 years ago. We're just now digging it out, but no, I'm sure we'll be going back to Pete's articles again because there's always something timely. So,
and to be honest, I think
stuff.
we could call this whole episode "The Nugget from the Sandcrawler."
Yeah,
because
that's true.
It's like we're taking Martin and dusting him off, and that doesn't sound right. Jeez, Steve, can one segment go by where I don't insult our guest? Oh man. Let's see here. So, should we push forward to the vocab? Because I think we actually have 2 vocab words. So let's.
We ain't let them folks change our vocabulary. Change our vocabulary.
First shot, hard copy, soft copy, frosting, MIB, MOJ, CMYK.
So I guess, Martin, seeing as you don't consider yourself to be a super hardcore Yoda guy,
vintage.
Are you familiar with this month's vocab word, which is Hungarian pig nose?
Actually, I'm not familiar with that.
All right, so this is for the bootleg fans out there.
Yeah, I figured we had to get them something because it's been on the white side.
Yes. So, Steve, what is a Hungarian pig nose? Which is, by the way, what I call people when I'm really mad at them. You
That's a good-
Hungarian pig-nosed pig. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the part of that name is self-explanatory. They are from Hungary, but there's just something eerie about these. Yoda should never be considered to me like a scary character, but if they'd given him a pig nose, I think he would have scared me to death.
Yeah.
These, I guess they were thought to only come in one color, but a couple other shades of green have surfaced. But to me, it's just one of the weirdest looking bootlegs I think I'd ever seen as far as a main character goes. Because a lot of it's right, but the one thing that's glaringly wrong really just, it's wrong. It just totally, rather than like having them be bright pink or blue or something, it still kind of looks like Yoda, except something horrible happened to his face.
Well, I think we know what happened. Right?
Oh,
okay. Well, it's very clear. So the Hungarians had a sense of poetry and had a sense of understanding of the artistic creation, as well as a sort of interspecies fetish.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
So I think they just understood, well, Frank Oz is Yoda. Frank Oz is Miss Piggy.
Man. How could I have not seen
Frank
this?
Oz and Miss Piggy had a baby, a la King Tut, through Cheops the alien and Princess Leia making a pyramid. If they had a baby, Yoda and Miss Piggy, this is what it would look like. So this is actually the Frank Oz bootleg.
Okay, problem solved.
Yeah, just mix it in with Kevin Kline. He also did the movie In and Out, if you ever saw that movie.
I did not see that one.
It's a fairly good comedy about homosexuality.
Okay.
But did I go too far, Martin? What do you think about this idea of the pig nose? I keep saying that, the pig nose Yoda being an artistic depiction of the offspring of Miss Piggy and Yoda.
I can see where you're getting that from, but to be honest with you, I tuned out when you started talking. So.
Maybe that's why the show takes too long for you, Martin. If you tune out when I start talking, you got an awful lot of rewinding. Yeah, man.
Oh, man. I don't know. I think...
Well, actually, you know what, Steve? That's our next vocab word. So, Martin, for the main reason that you are a source of mystery to me is I have often heard amongst old-time collectors a verb that I did not know what it meant. And the verb is to be thurned. What does it mean, Martin? What does it mean to be thurned? Because I'm pretty sure I've been thurned several times on this podcast and many times over the past few years, but I actually don't know what thurning is. Now, I know that wootening is the old-time collector John Wooten, who we had on the show, who's famous for shipping late. And so if you get wootened, that means that someone shipped, like you could depend on them, but it was shipped late. If you are skied, it means that you sent an email, and he really wanted to reply, but he just didn't because he's kind of a flake. I just invented that. That isn't a verb yet. But what is it to be thurned?
Well, originally, to be thurned was to be suddenly, scolded and brought back on topic for having strayed or just started talking about something unrelated or unwanted or unacceptable. Man. So in a news group or if you're sending email back and forth and you suddenly go off topic, or another thing is if you go off topic but you leave the subject of the email is something that we were talking about 3 months ago.
Right.
You could be thurned when I tell you to change the subject line of your email if you're not talking about the same thing anymore.
Yeah, it's actually funny, Steve, when you think about like nouns that become verbs. It reminds me in 14th century French philology that I'm setting you up, Martin. So when the 14th century, I'm setting you up, Martin. You're supposed to thurn me now. You're not going to do it?
It's not the right time.
Oh,
man.
I got thurned while I
It
was
doesn't
trying to
work
get
if you ask
thurned.
for
Look
it.
at that, Steve. I just got thurned on a thurn. Unbelievable. You are the meta thurner. That's what you are.
Oh, man.
Well, I like that very much. I think that Steve, I think that I'll try to create a drop, and if I ever go too far off, when I go too far off, or when we go too far off, I'll hit the thurn button, and it'll be a little sound, and I'll probably take a quote from something that Martin has said during this show, along with a little sound clip, maybe from the prog rock band.
Hey.
Thurned drops. Outtake session.
Would you like some aloe vera? You just got
Thurned.
Ow! Ah! It thurns! It thurns!
And it thurns, thurns, thurns. That ring of fire, that ring of fire. You got thurned.
Speaking of prog rock, okay.
No, we're not talking about prog rock.
Okay, thank you.
You got thurned.
So that's what thurning is. That makes sense, because whenever I would read it, it would be in the Rebel Scum forums, whatever, and someone would just say, "You got thurned" with a smiley face, and I'd be like, "Oh, haha, I don't know what that means." But now, does it just basically mean any criticism that just comes from you at all?
I don't think so, but it has probably expanded a little bit beyond the off-topic thing.
Right. Well, I think it's good. I think we need more thurners in the world, because
it's true.
Because if you're putting in the effort to care what someone's doing, then you should be given the access to criticize them and help them do it better. Right? I mean, isn't that the way the world should work?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, so keep criticizing me, Martin.
No problem.
I keep on trying to find a way to end a sentence with a preposition so that you can correct me. But it's actually kind of hard to find a way to end a sentence like that if you can't figure out a way, like a word to do it with. Come on, I did it! All right. Jeez.
A word with which to do it.
Thank you.
Oh, man. This is exactly how I was hoping this would go.
Yes. Yeah. This could be really fun, actually. If I get the thurn drop, that could be pretty good. And it could just be like this button to press. But, yeah, we don't really have drops work like that. So, actually, and speaking of thurning in general, so then the Market Watch has been sort of a sort of consistent theme of, like, is it too long, and how should we do it? And for a while we had Chris's drop where he said, you know, if you think the Market Watch is too long, right? And I put it back in last month, but in general he said he didn't like it there because it made him seem like he was a jerk. And to which Martin said, "Well, I'll record one if you want."
I'll be happy to thurn the Market Watch every month.
So maybe what we could do is we'll record that. So what we'll do is we will record the lightning round with you, Martin, and then I'll record the thurn Market Watch warning, and then we'll and that'll be our official goodbye to you for the month. How does that sound?
Sure.
All right. So are you ready for the lightning round, Martin?
I think so.
You think so? Okay, good. So, I don't know. I was supposed to change all these questions at one point, wasn't I?
We got a few rotators in there.
Basically what happens is I just do a open apple F, which is Command F, but I still say open apple. I just do Command F and just do lightning and just look for the most recent thing that I found, and it could be from 2 years ago or a month ago.
Yeah.
So, question number 1, Martin. What is your favorite bad line from a Star Wars film?
I sure hope that old man got that tractor beam out of commission. This is going to be your shit. Okay, hit it.
I love that line. I actually say that line. That is in my rotation in general. I sure hope the old man got the... What is it again?
I sure hope the old man got that tractor beam out of commission, or this is going to be a real short trip. Okay, hit it.
Yeah. I'll say that, if I send someone off to somewhere else to do something and I'm doing something else. It's a perfect line. That's great. What is your holy grail item, Martin?
That would have to be I think it was in 2005 for episode 3. Kmart had a set of gift cards that you had to, I don't remember exactly, you had to buy Pepsi and you had to buy chips and you had to buy this and that, and then you had to mail it all in, and you got a set of 3 gift cards back. And I don't have those, and they never show up for sale. I don't know where they all went.
Really?
Yeah.
And you've been looking since 2005?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Because I didn't start seriously collecting till right after that, so I missed out on doing the mail away myself.
Right. Wow. That's we've had that same answer for the past 4 months in a row, but that's cool if you want to be like everyone else. The Kmart gift set 3-pack mail away. Wait. Seeing as that, can I thurn your Holy Grail item and say that's not a vintage item? No? Okay. So then, if
no, you may not.
I may not. That's true. You can't thurn a thurn. Thurn could thurn a thurn, but I can't.
The system will crash if that.
Right. The only meta thurning will be done by the meta collector himself. Boy, that's because last month we had Tommy as the Marvel villain known as the Archivist.
Right.
I think that we could have, Thurn the Meta Collector would be another good, Marvel bad guy character.
Well, the bad guys in John Carter were the Thurns. Remember that?
No, I did not. Much like the rest of the world, I did not see that movie, or read the book. But and they were called the Thurns.
Yes.
Wow. I think
spelled differently, but still, it was pretty exciting to hear that when you're sitting in the movie theater and said, "Oh, the Thurns, what?"
I think I know where the sound drop for the Thurn is going to come from. I'll have to find a copy of that movie. Well, nothing is better than me in Superstar, the movie with Mary Catherine Gallagher. A very young Will Ferrell stars in it as a character named Sky, and she says, "Ooh, Sky is the swayziest." When I heard that, I was like, that is my new line. Sky is the swayziest. So, if your house were burning in the beautiful D.C. area, hey, do you live anywhere near Gaithersburg?
It's across the river, yeah.
Okay, I used to have a girlfriend from there. Okay, if you were across the river from Gaithersburg and your house were burning, what is the one item you would grab?
This is tough because there's two items that are way up there, but I guess I would grab the one that's kind of on the way to the door. And
it doesn't have to be practical.
But this is the from Celebration 4. The collecting panel volunteers got a gift, which was a framed set of the gold-plated medallions.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of that has a lot of personal value to me.
Yeah.
So that would be what I grab.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, it's kind of like so it's replaceable. The object is replaceable, but the significance is not.
Right.
And then finally, if you were a vintage item, and it can't be a Kmart gift card. If you were a vintage item, which one would you be?
All right. This is probably going to sound really lame, but I think they all do anyway. I would be a C-3PO action figure with loose limbs.
Okay, why is that?
Well, and the reason is, 2 reasons. C-3PO was the first first action figure I ever got as a kid.
Okay.
And also, as I'm getting older, and it's like my body feels like I have his loose limbs.
I like that. Yeah, because there's something about the loose. Yeah, that's good. Why is that? Why would that be a lame answer? Just because you don't like the question?
I don't know.
No? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I think Steve actually just dropped out.
Oh dear.
So I think what we'll do then is assume that he says thank you and good talking to you, and just record your thurning of the Market Watch, and have a and say see you later.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready to record your thurning sound drop?
Gee. I guess.
Okay, go for it. $1 Vlix. Market Watch.
If, like me, you want to skip the Market Watch, you can skip ahead to
2 hours and 41 minutes.
And the Market Watch has been thurned.
Thurned! Oh. All right, Steve. Well, we just recorded a little bit of witty banter, and it didn't get recorded. It was after I came back, after you hung up on Martin by mistake.
Right.
But anyways, I recorded his bit of the thurning, and I was just explaining, I'll say it again, and you act like it's new, that I had to run upstairs to grab a handful of goldfish, because at midnight I'm supposed to stop eating, because I'm going to have surgery in the morning. And for all you doctors out there, you can laugh at me, because I know it's an arbitrary time. But I kind of treat myself like a gremlin. This is new, by the way. I didn't come up with a gremlin thing. But like, okay, if I eat at 12:01, then the surgery's going to go terrible, and that horrible buffalo chicken sandwich at Friendly's that I ate last night will be my last meal. And I have to admit, I have thought about that. You know, this is the second time in my life I've ever gone under. And there's a chance you don't wake up, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So my last meal will have been a buffalo blue sandwich at Friendly's with my mom and my kids. So that's good.
Hey, see, that's what matters.
All right, I'm going to start singing memories here. Okay. If there's a thurn button, press it now.
Yep.
So let's talk about. I think we kind of recorded early, so we just have Pete's Market Watch, right?
Yeah, we got Pete's Market Watch, which is all Star Wars era related stuff, and just like the last few, it's a wide selection. I thought we'd go through some highlights, things that really stuck out to us. The first one, I guess we'll start. Usually we kind of build up to the most expensive thing, it seems like, but I figured we'd start with one of the higher ones. As far as the carded figures go, there was a Fett that was sold for about $4,400 on a Star Wars card, and it's just, I mean, I don't know. I guess we haven't really talked about the whole thing with the foreign cards yet, but just seeing carded figures now, and I start to kind of get. It just makes me nervous to even look at them.
I had the same reaction, Steve. It's funny you said that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I just get nervous even looking at them, which is sad. But yeah.
Well, especially really nice carded figures. And this is a really nice Boba Fett. But I mean, I don't know if those conditions can really be repeated. I mean,
true.
Mint card backs and mint bubbles. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, with the the Star Wars cards always seem to be at a premium as usual, and Fett doesn't stray from that in this case. And then there's an AFA 85 Han that was $2,500, and it's just weird to me. Like I'm still getting that odd vibe. Like I haven't really even looked at card figures in a while, and it's just before they would kind of bring such it's like a great feeling, but now, man, I don't know. Don't mean to bring the bummerness out here, but
yeah, my last meal will be buffalo blue chicken sandwich at friendlies. My last Kivecast will be complaining about carded figures with Steve getting thurned. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it's I don't know. I gotta snap myself out of this, right?
Yeah, because I mean these are all graded. It's not like AFA graded any of the. Well, there's a debate, D8. Why don't you guys send that in to kivecast@gmail.com. Is AFA to blame, or what? That's not really a debate.
Yeah, that's more of a.
Yeah. How much of a role do they have in this? You know.
Right.
I would say not much. I actually give them kind of a pass because AFA is just the best people in AFA are people who know the hobby, and everyone's been fooled for a long time. So.
Yeah, man. All right, so we'll try and bring this back to the other side of things. There was some cool box stuff that sold. There was, and at pretty high prices. There was a box TIE Fighter that I think went for $1,100. AFA 75. Yeah, it's high. You also had an X-wing that went for $1,350. And then for the Cantina sets, did you look at these? There was one, the Sears one that sold for $938, which was, and this isn't graded. I don't think it is. Yeah. It's just, man, I don't know. We're getting to these points where these market watch items, I don't really know what to say other than just, whoa.
I think if we had a drinking game, it might be Steve saying "man" during the market watch.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
You sure say "man" a lot.
When it comes to these, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess the problem is that what we don't really know is how to really pull off the market watch, because we can just say that the prices are really high, or we can just kind of give the prices.
Yeah.
I like it. Maybe it's because ever since the site came up, that's the sort of historical cataloging that we need.
Yeah.
So it's more us just commenting on it. We're just basically going to say high or low.
Right.
Which I suppose.
And man, it's I take that whole Price is Right thing from last month was awesome. And I meant to. I think next time we should try and somehow figure out a way to incorporate that again, because that was fun.
That'd be fun. We could do that and just. We'll have Brisbane or Fratastic just send it to you, and then you could be the quiz master or send it to me.
Vice versa, yeah.
But there's some things there where I've a 2-pack, like there's just an item I didn't know existed, and that's one thing that I like, which is a 2-pack of Boba Fett and Luke X-wing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that was, let's see, that sold for $11,053, but I'd never... Why are you laughing?
Wait, 11,000, man.
Oh, yeah.
That would be something. I just said it again.
1,000, man, 1,153.
Now I'm super conscious of it.
Man, don't be super conscious of it. I didn't know that there was a Luke X-wing Boba Fett 2-pack. That's just pretty cool.
That's cool.
And a Greedo and Snaggletooth sold for a similar amount, 1,358. That was a blue Snaggletooth.
Blue,
and Greedo. And then Greedo and red Snaggletooth.
Quite a discount.
It was $260.
Yeah.
So for $1,500. I gotta watch out my decimals here. You could get both Snaggleteeth 2-packs.
Yeah. Hey, for the wait a minute. Wasn't the plural version of Snaggletooth something we discussed recently? Did we ever come to a conclusion on that?
Well, we were gonna get to the feedback. The archivist thinks that Snaggletooth sounds better.
That's right. I knew I'd read that somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, what else do we got? Okay, wait a minute. What is this Jawa 8-pack of carded figures? Have you looked at this yet?
I have not. I am just going to do my Karnak here and guess that is a box of Meccano. A box of Meccano Jawas.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So there have been a couple like shipping cartons of Jawa, Meccano Jawas, which is why of all the carded figures, Meccanos are extremely rare, very hard to find, but there's just a ton of them, a ton of Jawas. This is pretty cool because it's a sealed pack.
I never seen anything quite like that for these. That's cool.
Yeah,
those $2,700. Okay,
which really is not too bad because you know they're just going to. I think you could potentially open it up and then sell them as uncirculated carded figures because they're still in the
original shipping case.
Original shipping case. But I mean, and it's a great idea because when you're buying carded figures, you want carded figures that are from a line that you would think is really rare from somewhere in Europe that are ridiculously mint and in seemingly endless supply. Nothing could possibly go wrong with that kind of arrangement, Steve.
No. And I'm looking forward to to hearing what Matthias had to say.
No, it was funny because I was like, the kids were sledding and they were hungry, and like my daughter comes in the middle of it and it's like, I want to go to Friendly's. I'm like, I'm talking about the Palatoy scandal.
Did you say it like that?
No, but and you could swap that out with soft goods cloak, or you could have like a vintage style, like vinyl cloak.
He comes back. He's coming back. We still haven't named this guy though. That could be not poll, but a fill-in, like a caption.
Send it to cavcast at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Which actually, speaking of feedback, why don't we segue into feedback?
Okay.
Because we didn't get much this month.
Yeah, I mean it's different. It manifests itself in different ways, I guess.
Do you know why? I think, Steve.
What's that?
You know, like when a cat really loves you, right? And you leave that cat for 7 days with just a pile of food. What do you come home to but a pile of cat feces on your comforter and on your pillow? That's how they show they love you.
Oh, yeah.
The Kivecast went to Cape Cod for a couple, 5-6 days to get its head straight while it was going through a divorce. And in that time, we didn't record a show. And so I think that was the fans saying, yeah, that's cool. You can go away for a couple months. We don't care. I left a little something for you. Just a little something for you on the comforter. Check it out. What do you think? Is that right?
I don't know if I'd go quite that far.
Okay.
Oh, man. But I understand where you're coming from, though. That cat thing, it's absolutely true.
Well, I guess my thing is that I think that last month's episode is one of my all-time favorite episodes.
That's true. It was one of the more fun ones to put together.
And it had so many things that I thought were like, this is exactly why we're putting out this show. You know, I mean, like this month, like discovering that Martin actually did do the fanzine thing and find this whole realm of collecting that I didn't know about and I now know about and can share with other people. That is why the show exists. But part of it was also that I heard Ron telling stories about going to Cincinnati, and I really wanted to share that with other people. And it got good response, but
it did.
But as everybody experiences, you know, they often feel underappreciated for the service that they render unto the hobby. But Tommy, even though he was on the show,
Joy we all can share.
He gave us our most useful feedback. So he really likes Snaggletooths as the plural for Snaggletooth.
Right.
And maybe we should do that. Maybe that could be a poll. Should it be Snaggletooths or Snaggleteeth?
Yeah.
And Fire the Big Gun. That's if I had more time and energy, I would re-record the beginning to include Fire the Big Gun. in the intro. And he asked the question, how come Tommy gets the holiday special clip and Ritter gets the Man with No Name Morricone drop? Do you know the answer to that, Steve?
Why this decision was made?
Yeah, why is it that
I
Mike
don't know.
Ritter...
That was...
Well, the reason why is because his symbol, his avatar, is for the Opie and Anthony radio show. Which I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan of it, but I listen to it when they have, when they're good, they can be really good. And when they're not good, they're kind of mediocre. But I listen to them a fair amount. And they open every single show at 6 a.m. or whenever they start. And they play the theme song from The Good and the Bad and the Ugly the entire way through.
Oh.
It's a really long song. So that was a wink to Mike to say, thank you for coming on the show. And
hey, see, that works. I think that's good.
Yeah. He said that he didn't deliver the level of drama for the Kenner commercial theater. I don't know if that's not true.
I don't know.
The script wasn't as good. I mean, my part was as good, but the actual commercial itself.
But you didn't write that, yeah.
He says that Chris needs record a "You Snooze, You Lose" drop, and I think it's true. I think that as much as has to be linked to Matthias, I think that "You Snooze, You Lose" should definitely be linked.
Well, Ash, you snooze, you lose, and you're way behind right from the start. I've got a Pokemon, and you don't.
Actually, I was in a coffee shop yesterday grading finals, and the song "Black Velvet" came on, and I immediately started thinking of Bruce. And Bruce was actually featured on, I think it was in GQ. GQ Online, the must-have art thing, and it was one of his paintings. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and Tommy said that he didn't think he just discovered his radio voice, and that he was talking too fast. Tommy, it's not that you haven't discovered your radio voice. You haven't discovered your radio microphone. Do you know how hard it is? The 2 times I've had him on to edit him and get his sound levels right. We need to get that boy a blue snowball. But,
yeah. That might be the solution.
And then at the very end, he says that I never did actually explain what Rascovy was. So he says it stands for REC, short for Recreation, Arts, SF, short for Science Fiction, Vintage. And so that's how it became. So thank you, Tommy. Ron mentioned that he could hear himself getting drunker as the podcast progresses. Which, for the guests, is good. For the hosts, is bad. So, there's some episode in there, I don't know, probably 28 or something or other. One of those episodes, and I was just enjoying my my Jenny Cream Ale.
Your Jenny Light.
Yeah, and it definitely, by the end, it was it's like it would be if we recorded tomorrow. With my dry socket.
Right.
And Jared just wrote this insane write-up.
Oh my God! This is something that he has done numerous times in the past, but it's been a while since we got something of this level. I mean, you have everything from Burt Reynolds to Bernie Loomis appearing in this story.
Yeah,
and it all revolves around the Bespin security guard. It's ridiculously great.
Yeah, I think. We'll have to do. Maybe I find a way to put a post of that up on the Kivecast.
Yeah.
Because it's a little too long for me to have the energy to read right now.
Yeah, I don't think we could do it justice.
Yeah, I can't really do it justice, and I only have 10 minutes left. It's 11:50 here, and so I need to finish recording the show and eat these granola bars.
What brand you got there? I mean, you got Nature Valleys?
It's a ripoff of Nature Valley. It's
all right.
I think it's the BJ's store brand.
Okay.
No, Cascadian Farm. So that's Kellogg's pretending to be organic.
That's the third button right now.
Yes. I'm not sure it is. I love how he corrected me saying that wasn't third.
Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah.
That was. And he also provided a little bit of a striking symbol of the
Oh, yeah.
Ugnaughts.
Perfect.
And the Ugnaughts will be opening up season 6.
That's right. Is he next?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's it. Here we go.
Which, yeah, I was actually just looking at Kellerman, and I saw
That's the one thing I forgot to do today. I'm out of my rhythm. That's usually what I do when I first get ready. I'm like, I got to remember what's next, and I did not do it today.
You know, the short, ugly guys. We got to run on short, ugly guys. And I was also thinking, you know, Kenner, it's great that you changed the artwork. But why did they change the artwork for Yoda? Okay, so they changed the artwork of Luke from him staring at the suns to him in the gunner photo.
Right.
Great,
right.
that makes sense. Han, they changed it. Actually, that doesn't make that much sense.
That one doesn't make that much sense to me either.
True. It's like Han in a vest shooting. No. We got to change it to him like in a vest shooting. Well, at least in the newer version, he seems a little bit more calmed down.
Right.
Obviously, Chewie, they wanted to reflect that he was on Endor and not just the same guy he was before.
Yeah. Right.
But Yoda, they took one of him sitting down, looking meditative in a swamp, and then they're like, okay, scrap that. Let's do one of him looking meditative in a swamp. And I don't even think it's a different movie, right? It's not even.
I don't think so. No. It's a different shot from Empire. But I don't know about you. I like the first one better.
I don't know. They're so similar.
They are so similar, but for whatever, maybe it's just the purist liking the original form of something better. But to me, that picture just looks better. But less stock image. For some reason, that picture of him standing there, I feel like I've seen that everywhere. Whereas that other card back image is something I really associate with that Empire card back. I don't know if that makes any sense.
That really does, Steve, and that actually would get me on a tangent. I think of like of the card backs that some just feel like, oh yeah, we've all seen that, and that's true. The second card back is the same as the hey, go read a book, Yoda.
Right.
That is absolutely stock. But then there's some, like the Vader's great, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like that is just not a stock image. That's just like some random thing that you just don't really see. But the Chewbacca is definitely the stock Chewbacca image, the gunner photo. Yeah. And the Han Hoth is just, basically, if it's a bad card, it's not a stock image.
Yeah, that's true. That's the right...
Well, although, if you think about the R2, this is fun. I think it'd be fun, not now, because I got to eat this granola bar, but at some point soon we should go through them and figure out which ones. And actually, the Bespin, maybe that's why. Maybe it's that they switch from a less stock image to a more stock image.
Yeah.
So like the Luke hallway is just
right.
It's
just like a reference still, like you'd see, or like just a set photo.
Yeah.
Or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Hollywood. It's like a daily variety 2-sheet.
No, not gonna go that far.
That was my movie dork voice. I'm a man of 1,000 talents.
Yes.
I've yet to manifest one. So maybe that could be it. I spit all over my computer, by the way, when I did that voice.
I think that just is what you're signing up for when you bring that out.
I got a good, one of my favorite screen names of all time, Bobby Bob's.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He put a nice story, sort of about his sanity, where he traveled by train.
Oh, that's right.
From
yeah.
The Hague in Netherlands to Brussels in Belgium, which was 6 hours, and then on the way back, the train hit a pony.
God.
Which, why not just say a horse? If you're on a train and you hit a pony, like, it makes people depressed,
Oh man, that is pretty rough.
Like if you run over a kitten, and your kid in the back of the car knows that you killed something. Say you killed a cat, big kitten, and a pony. Anyways, after a significant delay, we got moving again for a few minutes before they announced a car accident on the tracks just ahead of us had blocked our route.
Oh man. It's so weird. I was on a train from Brussels to Amsterdam, and it was supposed to be like, it's the same story. It was supposed to be, like a 3 or 4 hour hour thing, and it felt like 12 hours to get. There was just something about that that area on a train track that was just bad luck.
Yeah, so it turned into 10 hours. He said, "Welcome to Benelux. Your podcast got me through." He said, "I must admit I was a little sick of your voices after about 9 hours."
Yeah, I can't believe you made it that far. That's admirable.
That is admirable. So for those of you who are stuck on the train in between The Hague and Brussels, just know that when you get to Brussels, great selection of beer. Museums are chock-filled with Northern Renaissance artifacts. Some nice unified architecture in the town square. Music of Jacques Brel. Not to mention the mussels. It's worth it. You'll get there soon, guys. Don't worry about it.
That was a good little travel ad for Brussels.
Oh, Brussels is awesome. Yeah.
I've only been to the train station, and that was not fun.
Yeah.
But, all right.
Well, Steve, I would almost say that in honor of our special guest, we should not do our final segment. But I'm still going to. So, Steve, you actually went to a hockey game? Is that correct? You sent me
I did, yeah.
a picture. Saying
I did. I sent you a picture. I'm glad you got it. I said I was trying to learn the ways of the puck. And I thought, man, if I can get any response, if he knows that I'm at a hockey game.
Did you get skied?
Yep, I did. I sure did. No, I went to a Kings Blues game a couple weeks ago, and I've been to 2 now. But man, it's an awesome experience.
Yeah, it's a really fun game.
Especially not knowing what's going on. You just kind of follow it. It was just much easier to follow in person than it is on TV, for me anyway. So I had a blast. We'll be going again soon, I'm sure.
Awesome, yeah. No, sorry I didn't. I opened that up. I looked at it with a smile, and I thought, that's awesome, Steve. And I turned off my phone and went to bed. The problem is that I'm not good at, like, the LOL, like, one-word
I wouldn't
response.
expect. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, so things are going great for us in the Fantasy Hockey League, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
I am now leading you, which is good.
See, my neglect is really starting to show itself now.
So I'm in 9th out of 10th place, and you're in 10th out of 10th place.
Yep. I guess I figure I might as well try and pronounce another name on my team.
Okay.
We got Landeskog last time. That's pretty tame.
Uh-huh.
I think I'll go with another pretty tame but hilarious one to me. On my bench for the New York Islanders, Cal Clutterbuck. Who knows what he's up to, but I just know that he's owned by 1% of all, or started on 1% of all rosters. So.
That's good. Awesome, Steve. Well, let's see. So I guess January is a month made for Ugnaughts.
Yeah, it's actually the other side of the whole strike scenario. We gotta get the Ugnaught perspective. So
yeah, and it's going to be a new year. You know, this has been 2013 it's my Chinese calendar year. The year of the snake was 2013. 13 is my lucky number, and 2013 has been the worst year of my life by a factor of 10. So I can't wait to see you guys in 2014, a year that is going to be, by comparison, just the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, hopefully.
So that I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be the year of the horse next year. I don't know what it is, but it'll be fun. Do you have any big plans for New Year's?
For New Year's, I think we're going to make our way back to Goleta the Good Land.
Nice.
Haven't been up for a while, so that's where we're going to be. What about you?
I think I'm probably going to be looking at the Dying Gull in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go on a megalopolis trip with the kids. I think we're going to try and hit New York City and Philadelphia, starting in Boston, obviously. I'm going to try and catch a Bruins game, but they're like all sold out, so like tickets are mad expensive.
You'll find a way in there, I think.
Ooh, and I'm going to go see Kanye on Saturday, so I'm excited about that.
Man, that's a big man. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, man.
That's good.
I'm cool. Awesome, Steve. Well, you've done it again. You've wasted another 7 hours with the podcast. I'm hoping this is our longest episode ever, just for the purity of the exchange.
Yes.
But all right then. What was the? See, we talked about the recards. Wampa Wampa.
Adios.
Early Bird Center figures. These action figures are not yet available, but this Star Wars Early Bird certificate package is in stores with its colorful Star Wars picture display stand and certificate.